Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the special magistrate hearing for July 8th, 2025. If you wish to speak today, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you all swear and affirm to speak the truth at today's hearing? Yes. All right, silence all electronic devices, please. Thank you. Do you want to say anything before?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No. Well, let me just, good morning, folks. Everybody take a seat. This is the special magistrate hearings for the city of Fort Lauderdale. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding, which means there's a little bit of formality. There's a requirement which you've just been sworn in that you need to testify under oath. The burden this morning is on the city. They have to demonstrate that the violation exists. If you're here and you're in agreement with the city that the violation exists, but you're seeking additional time, let me know and we'll talk about that. And if you wish to contest it, you have the right to do so, of course. What will that happen is the city will go first, and then you can question them if you wish. And then you'll be given your opportunity to present your side of the story. The city may question you, or I may question either side if I don't understand something for the presentation. You need to understand what my role is. I'm not a judge. This is not a courtroom. Okay? I have sort of limited authority to act. What I'm supposed to do is make a factual determination as to whether the violation exists or not, or more particularly whether the city's proven that the violation exists. Other than that, I mean, if you want to plead hardship and things like that, I can't dismiss cases on arguments like that. I don't have that authority. Members of the judiciary and the circuit court and things like that, they have what are called equitable powers. I'm not a judge. I'm quite a bit less than that. I'm simply an administrative hearing officer, and I'm supposed to understand what the facts are and issue an order that's consistent with those facts. If you have a question about the process, let me know. I can't give you legal advice. That's something I'm not supposed to do. And I don't really typically get into the issue of how to correct your violation. I'll let you talk to staff about that. So in some instances, that's beyond the expertise that I have. So I don't really delve into the details of how you're going to correct it. I'll leave you, again, talk to the city staff about that. But if you have a question, I'll answer it. If you have a question about the process, I'll answer it as best I can. Okay, so with that said, let's call the
Stay.
Oh, okay. On first case, page 32, Inspector Wanda Aquavella, case number CE 2502-0489, case address 321 Lido Drive, owner Terrence Gitlow and Kim Gitlow. This case was first heard for 825 to comply by 42325. One section complied at $250 for a total of $750. This case has been paid and the case is now closed.
Okay, noted for the record.
Our next case, page 7, Inspector Edward Eason, case number CE 2504-0695, case address 110 Southwest 8th Avenue, owner Community 8 Properties LLC, posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
They left.
All right. So you say he was here and he left? Is that what I'm hearing? Yes. Okay. So what do we have for notice to him? I just want to confirm that you have notice before we... Notice? No, notice for the hearing.
We're going to read it in one day.
Yes, it was posted at the notice was posted
Okay,
at the
it was
property.
posted. I just want to make sure I have
Yes.
jurisdiction to hear the case. So I'm going to find that there's notice. And would you want to read it? You want to make your... Yeah.
Good morning, Edward Eason, City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance, presenting case CE 2504-0695 for the 425-25, and the following violations were observed. 9-363 is complied. 47-21.16.a is complied. 9-306, the installation foam is exposed. Furthermore, the fascia roof drop is stained. The violation is now complied, but is a recurring violation, case CE 2501-0869. Violation 9-280C is complied. 9-305B, the landscape at the property is not being maintained in a neat and well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover on the front yard and swale area. The violation is now complied, but is a recurring violation, case CE 2504-0149. Violation 9-304B, the driveway and driveway apron have grass growing through in areas of bare and missing gravel. The violation is now complied, but is a recurring violation. 18-12A, there is trash, rubbish, and debris on the property. The debris includes, but not limited to, black plastic bag, paint bucket, multiple plastic bottles, cleaning brushes, paper, and litter. The violation is now complied, but is a recurring violation from CE 2501-0869. Violation 9-280B is complied. The city is requesting a finding of fact for 9-306, 9-305B, 9-304B, and 18-12A.
Okay, I'm going to find that those violations did in fact exist. Your testimony is that they're all in compliance now?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll make the finding of fact. That'll put the respondent on notice that if it were to happen again, there'll be a repeat violation subject to the notice provisions and to the increased fine amounts. Thank you.
Our next case, page 31. Inspector Wanda Aquavella, case number CE 2501-0992, case address 1352 Holly Heights Drive, owner Bradley C. Cady. This case was first heard for 825 to comply by 42325. One section not complied at $250, $2,500 accrued. The city is requesting the full amount and the fines continue to accrue.
Good morning. State your name for the record, please.
Good morning.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, we had a clerical error. It's on me, but we did contact the city through email requesting what to do.
When was that?
I don't have an exact date. I believe it was in 2024 when we were first notified.
So
we needed to renew.
It was last year?
At the end of last year,
Yeah.
we were notified that we needed to renew. Now, several inspectors here recognize me from 4 years of continuous operation. They know that we always keep up on things. Now, the renewal that we thought was taken care of, we had scheduled an inspection. We found out through our employee that the inspection was actually a state inspector. So there was an error on our part understanding who was inspecting. I was notified that the property was inspected. Again, it was a state inspector. So we thought the case was settled. I then found just recently posted at our property that this hearing was taking place. So this was thought to be taken care of. We received our business tax receipt.
So what do you need to do?
We need to get the property inspected to be current with the city. We had satisfied all the other requirements, and we had done so continuously for 4 years without trouble. We spoke with the inspector, and they said, yeah, you're fine. Everything is taken care of. You're good through 2025. We'll see you again next year. So we had a clerical error. We didn't understand which inspector was out there, and multiple inspectors here know me from 4 years of continuous operation.
What do you want to do?
The city would like to impose the fines of $2,500.
Okay, I'm going to impose the fine. After the fact, you can mitigate it, but I'm going to impose the fine.
The violation still exists.
Right, it's continuing. Thank you.
Okay. I had 2 properties. Is that a fine for both properties?
No, I only have one case before me right now. That's the address. That's 3252 Holly Heights Drive. That's the one I'm doing.
I saw pictures up here of my property. We're 1352. You said 3252?
1352.
1352. Yes, 1352 Holly
Right.
Heights. But
Okay, thank
when
you.
I signed in, it was for 2 properties.
Okay, you may have another case on. Is there another case on the agenda?
Yeah.
1616 Northeast 11th.
No. All right, you want to do that now?
Yes, sir.
What page is that on?
Okay, I'll read that.
Okay.
I'll read that one in now.
All right.
Next case, also page 31. Inspector Wanda Aquavella, case number CE 2501-0976, case address 1616 Northeast 11th Street, owner Bradley Cady. This case was first heard 4/8/25 to comply by 4/23/25. One section not complied at $250 per day, $2,250 accrued. The city is requesting the full amount, and the fines continue to accrue.
Are the facts pretty much the same in this case?
All facts are the same. When you say fines continue to accrue, these properties, you'll notice, have been closed for the short-term rental operation to get this matter settled. So
Well, I'll let you work on how you comply it with the city staff. What I have here is that the fine continues to accrue, and this is a request to impose the fine. I'm going to impose the fine.
Okay, so
Okay.
this is a daily fine?
It's a daily fine.
Yeah, Wanda Aquabella for the city. This fine is $2,250.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that number again?
$2,250.
Okay, and I guess I'll be in touch with you to...
We'll go back there and talk right
All
now.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next case, page 38, Inspector Rafael Santos, case number CE 2502-0676, case address 2430 Southeast 17th Street, owner La Marietta, Inc. This case was first heard 4/24/25 to comply by 6/26/25. One section not complied at $150 per day, $1,800 accrued, and the fines continue to accrue. This is a request for extension.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Good morning. Israel Flexer, President of La Marietta.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Magistrate Inspector Rafael Santos for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 2502-0676, and the address is 2430 Southeast 17th Street. Case was first heard on April 24th, 2025, where the magistrate found for the city giving to June 26, 2025, to come into compliance or a fine of $150 per violation. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on June 26, 2025, and found that the violation remains. And the gentleman is here asking for an extension.
Are you opposed to the extension?
No, sir.
All right, so the parties agree with, okay, how much time do you need? Have you guys talked about our time?
No, we have not spoken about time.
I'm seeking 60 days with a stay on the daily fine.
All right, we'll extend it for 60 days. 63, which would be September 9th, 2025. I'll suspend the fines for that period of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next case, page 39, Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 2412-0511, case address 700 Northwest 4th Avenue, owner Irma J. Ferguson. This case was first heard 5/13/25 to comply by 7/8/25. Three sections not complied at $50 per day. Fine starts 7/9/25, and this is a request for an extension.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good
State your name for
morning.
the record, please.
Leodonis Ferguson.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Good morning, Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance, presenting case CE 2412-0511, address 700 Northwest 4th Avenue. This case was first heard at the May 13th hearing, where the magistrate ruled the following: 1812A, a finding of fact; 9-305B, 56 days to comply, or a fine of $50 a day thereafter; 9-280H1, 56 days to comply, or a fine of $50 a day thereafter; 9-306, 56 days to comply, or a fine of $50 a day thereafter. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 6, 2025, and the property remains in violation. At this time, the property owner is present.
The agenda says they're looking for an extension. Are you opposed to an extension? Okay. Have you guys talked about a period of time?
We haven't.
You have not?
No.
How much time do you
this
need?
property is going through probate, and I really wanted to extend through the probate so that I can have
No,
legally
I don't
transferred.
think we're going to be able to do that. That could go on for quite some time. Want to do 90 days? As
Yeah.
opposed to 90 days?
98 days.
Yeah, 98 days. I can do 98 days.
Okay, so then I come back and ask for more time?
Can I do
We can do notice to reappear.
Okay, what I'm going to do is...
I thought you wanted to read a statement.
Oh, I do. I was just going with
Are you
the
the
process.
personal representative?
I am, and that's also my mother.
Okay, so if you want to read a statement into the record, which I think is going to demonstrate that you have the authority to act on her behalf. Is that
It
correct?
does.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Absolutely. Dear Honorable Special Magistrate, I'm writing to respectfully request an extension of time to correct the code enforcement violations issued on December 23rd, 2024 for the property located at 700 Northwest 4th Avenue, and to seek a temporary stay of associated fines due to extenuating circumstances and deeply personal circumstances. On the morning of 12/25/24, a day meant for joy and celebration, my family suffered an unimaginable loss when I found my mother, Irma Ferguson, deceased in her bedroom. Despite attempts to resuscitate her, she had already passed. What was meant to be a joyful holiday became a day marked by grief and heartbreak, the kind of loss for which no one can truly prepare. 2 days prior, we received a notice from code enforcement regarding violations at the property my mother owned. As we continue to process her passing and navigate the grief of losing our family matriarch, we have done our best to remain in good faith communication with Officer Jessica, her supervisors, and even the city manager to explain our situation and ask for compassion. The estate is currently in probate proceedings in another county, which has further complicated the ability to act quickly. Unfortunately, the estate has no liquid assets at this time, and we are managing everything without taking on debt that could further delay resolution. Nonetheless, my family and I are committed to correcting all outstanding issues. We've been actively working at the property with limited resources available and have made several tangible efforts towards compliance, including addressing ground cover issues by planting grass seeds, obtaining quotes from general contractors for necessary rehabilitation work, securing a demolition estimate as a possible alternative, consulting with real estate professionals about potential sale or development of the property. Please also note that we own the adjacent property, which has no code violations to date, further underscoring our ongoing commitment to maintaining our properties and contributing positively to the community. In light of these unique and challenging circumstances, I respectfully request that the magistrate grant the maximum allowable extension through probate and issue a stay of fines until the legal transfer of ownership can be completed. Once the property is legally transferred, we will be in better position to allocate the necessary resource to correct all violations properly and fully. As the personal representative of my mother's estate, I take the responsibility very seriously and will continue to pursue every avenue to bring this matter. Warm regards, Liz Honest Ferguson.
Thank you for that statement. I'm going to grant what you're looking for, which is we're going to extend the time 98 days, which would be October 14th, 2025. We'll suspend the fines during that period of time. We'll do an order to reappear. I mean, I know you want it to be during the balance of the probate estate, but that could go on for some time. So basically, what we'll try to do is work this out as we go along, kind of keep it in tabs on it somewhat. So that's why the 98-day extension, which would bring it back. What hearing would it be back? Be back on October 14th, okay?
Okay, do I need to call and say that I...
Stay in touch with the code officer.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next case, page 43. Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 2409-0507, case address 3632 Southwest 16th. And Danny Phillip Williams. This case was first heard 2/11/25 to comply by 4/8/25. One suspension from 4/8/25 to 7/8/25. 4 sections not complied at $50 per day. Fine starts 7/9/25, and this is in order to reappear.
Anybody hearing this?
Oh, no. Matthew. That was the wrong case. Let me read the correct case. It's the one at the bottom. Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 2502-0514, case address 3767 Southwest 17th Street, owner Ryan Keith Olette. This case was first heard 6/10/25 to comply by 6/25/25 and 7/8/25. 2 sections not complied at $50 per day, and the fine starts 7/9/25. This is a request for extension.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please? Okay. The agenda says he's looking for an extension. The city opposed?
The city's not opposed.
You guys talked about how much time you need?
FPL is supposed to be over this weekend to replace this. Huh? Oh, it's on. Sorry. They're supposed to be over this weekend to replace the solder on the green box that they put in, so
Okay.
it should be done 10 days next weekend.
You want to extend it? Well, how much time you want to just? Do you want to bring it back or not?
I did a reinspection on July 7, and only the dead and missing ground cover remained, 9305B.
Okay.
This Supervisor Brown, City of Fort Lauderdale. I'm over here. Hi.
Oh, there you go, sorry.
The city would suggest, if you're okay with the magistrate, a 35-day extension.
Okay. You want to bring it back or not?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to extend the time for compliance by 35 days. New compliance date would be August 12, 2025.
Okay.
And I'll suspend the fines during that period of time.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yep.
Our next case, page 41, Inspector Rachel Moore, case number CE 2405-0517, case address 2881 Southwest 2nd Street, owner Nigel Part. This case was first heard 10/24/24 to comply by 12/12/24 and 2/27/25. One suspension from 4/8/25 to 7/8/25. One section complied at $25 per day for a total of $700. This is in order to reappear.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Nigel Peart.
Okay.
Inspector Rachel Moore for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 24050517, address 2881 Southwest 2nd Street. This case was first brought before the Special Magistrate on 10/24/24. At the Special Magistrate hearing, Special Magistrate Cannon ordered 126 days for compliance for violation 9-308(a), and for all remaining violations, it was ordered 49 days to comply or $25 per day per violation thereafter. At the Special Magistrate hearing on 4/8/25, hearing officer Cannon granted an additional 91-day extension and an order to reappear. On the post-magistrate inspection dated 6/19, the violation of 9-30A, (A) was complied. As of pre-hearing inspection dated 7/7/25, the property remains in compliance. The city is requesting a full imposition of fines in the amount of $700, and the representative for the property is here to address the magistrate regarding the remaining violation.
Yes, sir.
Well, just come to say the roof and everything is completed.
I'm sorry?
The roof is already completed.
I know. The issue that the testimony is that it is in compliance, but it was out of compliance for 28 days, and they're looking to impose a $700 fine for those 28 days. Why did it take so long to comply?
Well, we was going through the lawyer to get the man to do the roof, and they did not want to give us...
You talking about insurance?
Yes, sir. They did not want to give us to do the roof. They wanted it for inside.
All right. I'm going to waive the fine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next case, page 39, Inspector Paulette Del Grasso, case number CE 24110397, case address 645 Flamingo Drive, owner Jesse Shaw. This case was first heard 4/8/25 to comply by 7/8/25. One section not complied at $100 per day. Fine starts 7/9/25, and this is in order to reappear.
Hello, I'm Jesse Shaw. Thank you, Special Magistrate, Senior Counsel, and hi, Paulette.
Hi, thank you, sir. Let me hear from the city, please.
Good morning, Inspector Del Grasso for the City of Fort Lauderdale. The case and address are as read. This is an order to reappear. The matter was first inspected by Senior Officer Manny Garcia on November 15th, 2024, during a King Tide event. That was November 15th, approximately 7:25 a.m. Water was observed flowing from the base of the seawall out onto the right-of-way and down the street. Video evidence was captured and presented at today's hearing. An inspection report was mailed to the property owner, Dr. Shaw, who's present this morning, allowing 60 days to show significant progress towards compliance. I've spoken with Dr. Shaw moments ago, who said he brought a hard copy of an engineer's report and will discuss its findings in open court. I have not received a copy as of yet.
Okay. I reviewed the video from the prior hearing, so I understand the issues, and we're not going to go back and readdress, the whole thing. The way I understood that the hearing ended would be if there was significant progress made, that would trigger the 365-day time frame. And so I guess what I'm asking the city is whether or not this document constitutes sufficient progress to trigger the additional 365 days.
So thank you, Your Honor. For the record, Ronald Montoya Hassan with the City Attorney's Office. This letter that I just scanned, dated July 7th, signed by Eric Culver, P.E., addresses a visual non-invasive assessment. As stated, the inspection performed by Mr. Culver was performed on June 28th and addresses just visual determinations by him that the seawall does not exhibit any signs of substantial structural deterioration or large cracking concrete determination. And he concludes that his professional opinion is that the seawall appears to be structurally sound and capable of performing its intended function.
Has the city engineers had an opportunity to review the letter?
I'm going to assume not, if the code officer hasn't received it either.
I mean, you guys just saw it this morning, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm not in a position to make the decision as to whether this constitutes sufficient progress. That's up to the engineering department. They need to review the letter. So, just a minute. So, I need to give them an opportunity to do that. Do you want to just continue the case for an additional month to give them an opportunity to take a look at it?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Yeah, I mean, just a minute.
Sorry, I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
All right.
But, you know, if you're going to ask me to get into the details of the letter to make a determination as to whether it's compliance, I'm not in a position to do that. I need the engineers to tell me whether or not. And your engineer can talk to their engineer, and you'll figure it out. So what I'm going to do is continue the case to give the city staff an opportunity to review this letter, and if need be, they could contact your engineer, and you guys could, at some future date, come back here and make a determination as to whether that's compliance or not, or what's going to happen. With that said, I would continue it to.
May I ask for 60 days just so we can have some time to. I want to be in compliance and fix this.
Yeah,
I just don't know what to do.
But here's the deal. I don't really. I'm not sure it would take 60 days, unless the city opposed to 60 days.
Special Magistrate.
Yes.
Supervisor Lord, we would ask for 35 days in order to reappear.
Okay, we'll do 35 days.
May I talk?
Sure.
Because this is the second. I have to take off of work on. This is the second Tuesday, and to keep. I just want to. So, the first time I came, you know, we're not here. I had a contractor, which was not sufficient, that said there was nothing wrong with the wall.
Right.
Then I was asked to get an engineer.
I know, but you could have submitted. Just let me talk for a minute. You could have submitted it to the engineer in advance of this hearing, so that they could have reviewed it for when we got here.
I just got it yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well, then I got to deal with that issue then. If you just got it yesterday, I have to deal with that. So I understand what you're saying. Let me finish. You don't want to come back. I know that. You spent time. I got it.
It's not that. It's just I wanted to express something that I haven't had a chance to. So the statute states, and this is an engineer now and a contractor, which doesn't count, I understand, states that my wall is absolutely fine for normal tidal
volume. All right,
volume.
we're not going. That was the last hearing. We're not going back there. We're not going to redo that.
But
I'm going
flooding.
No. I'm going to let them review the letter.
Okay. I appreciate
so that
that
would be continue the item until the hearing to be held on September 8th.
I just don't know. I don't know what to fix. There's nothing. Nobody has told me what to fix.
Okay. The engineers can talk to you about that. That would be August 12th. Okay, with an order to reappear on August 12th. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next case, page 35. Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 2409-0067, case address 6916 Northwest 29th Avenue. Owner John W. Garsall. This case was first heard 2/11/25 to comply by 2/21/25 and 3/11/25 and 4/8/25. One suspension from 5/13/25 to 6/10/25. One section complied at $50 per day for a total of $4,100. Two sections not complied at $50 per day for a total of $7,700. Total $11,800. City is requesting the full amount, and the fines continue to accrue.
Good morning, sir. State your name for the record, please.
John W. Garces.
Okay. Anything you want to say?
Yes, I've been.
All right, let me hear from the inspector.
Inspector Kendrick from the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting the case and address as read. This case was first heard on 5/13/2025. The magistrate granted a 28-day extension to correct the property violations. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2nd, 2025. The property remains in violation as depicted in the photos for the following violations. Violation 9-304B, not complied. Violation 9-305B, not complied. The city is requesting a full imposition and fines to continue to accrue.
Yes, sir.
I've appeared before the magistrate before, and I've expressed to them that I cannot financially correct these items. I just don't have the financial means to do this. I have been clearing the leaves, and I've been putting down seed. The seed has been starting to grow, but it takes more time, and it takes rain. I cannot speed that up any longer. I'm not sure why the fines continue to accrue because I can't physically fix them. So it's compounding fines on top of the inability to financially fix these seems unreasonable. The leaves are not that bad as they were when they first came to my house and did that. They were removed. The ground cover is now basically bare except for the small bits of grass that are growing.
So which of the violations are still outstanding?
The violations that's not complied is the driveway violation and the missing ground cover. We withdrew the 18-1 because we understand that the leaves going to continue to fall due to the property have large amounts of trees, and he has been making an effort to pick it up. So we withdrew that 18-.
Is the driveway simply to get rid of weeds
No,
along the pavers?
he got rid of the weeds. It's just stained and dirty now, so it just needs to be pressure cleaned.
He's got to pressure clean the driveway. And what's the other thing he has?
The missing ground cover.
Okay. Which is the sod versus, basically seeds aren't really going to work. So what do you want me to do?
I need more time for the seed to grow. That's all I need. I've actually taken apart my driveway to remove the groups.
To be honest with you, I don't think realistically seeds are going to work. I don't typically delve into how you do it, but I've been doing these hearings for a long time. And people that come up and say, I don't have the money to do sod, I try to put seeds down. It doesn't typically work. I don't think you're going to find yourself down the road and you're going to have this seeds that frankly aren't going to remedy the violation. So, I want to do this. I want to impose the fines for those that have complied. I want to give him some additional time, but not much. You're going to have to find the resources to resolve this, okay? You're going to have to pressure clean the driveway, and you're going to have to find a way to get ground cover besides seeds. It isn't going to work, okay? I'm just telling you. You're going to come back here in 3 months, and they're not going to grow, and your fine's going to be more. So I'm trying to help you out here and tell you it isn't going to work.
I understand that,
Okay.
but there's a
So what I'm
financial
trying to
limit
do-
to what I can do.
Just a minute.
That's all
What I'm
I'm
trying
saying.
to do is give you some additional
I
time.
appreciate that.
So, let's bring it back in 63 days. Do that on the outstanding fines. The outstanding violations. You opposed?
No, I don't impose.
Okay. I'll suspend the fine for those violations
appreciate
during that. Not the rest of them. The rest of them are there that you've complied, but for those that are outstanding, you got to get this done. You got to pressure clean it. You got to get some sod or some ground cover in there that's going to work. Okay. So it would come back. Compliance date would be September 9th, and it would come back on when? September 9th. Okay. So I'm going to do an order to reappear. Okay. All right. Good luck. I'm going to impose the fine for those that have complied. I'm granting an extension for those that are outstanding. Yeah, with an order to reappear. All right. Thank you, sir.
Our next case, page 27, Inspector Eric Weiland, case number CE 2505-0446, case address 612 Southwest 8th Avenue, owner RNG Plantation Key LLC. This case was first cited 5/18/25 to comply by 5/18/25. One section complied at $250 for a total of $250. Appeal deadline was 6/2/25 and a citation appeal was received.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Gabriel Delgado.
Okay, thank you. What's your relationship to the owner of the property?
Property owner.
You are the owner?
Yes.
Okay.
Inspector Eric Weiland presenting on behalf of the City of Fort Lauderdale, case and address as read. This property was first inspected on 5/19/2025 following a neighbor complaint via report number 250-51822-5703 about loud noise at a vacation rental, and the following violations were observed. Violations 17-7-10. There's non-amplified sounds coming from the residential property, and it's plainly audible 25 feet from the source property line after 10 p.m. The violation is irreversible in nature. One-time fine of $250. All right, my report at 23:19 hours, I arrived at 612 Southwest 8th Ave, responding to report number 250518225703 regarding loud noise at vacation rental. Upon investigation, I did observe non-amplified sound emitting from the subject property as I stood 25 feet away from the property line after 10 p.m. At this time, I spoke with Ruben, responsible party, via phone to inform him of the complaint, the existing violation, and the citation. I did not require him to physically appear at the property within 1 hour of the notification because I had already attained compliance. I issued a citation and posted it to the property. I took a video for 60 seconds as evidence the violation existed, and you can refer to the video. It was a young lady yelling from the backyard.
Can I go ahead and make a comment on this plan?
Yes.
Ready? The statute states specifically that the noise needs to be sustained for longer than 60 seconds. On that video, you heard it, I heard it. I didn't hear, we could sit there and count the noise. I didn't hear longer than 20 or 30 seconds of sustained noise, as well as...
Just
Can I just finish my statement?
No, I have a question.
Okay,
I'll let you
go ahead.
finish. Are you in agreement that does
I have an additional video as well.
Okay, why don't you run that? Is this in addition to the prior one that you just ran?
No, that's just the timestamp. That was a one video and a timestamp. Sorry about that.
How long were you there?
I was there for approximately 10 minutes.
Did you hear this noise the entire time?
I did.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Yes.
Okay. I have the most reputable noise sensor on the market. I'd like to submit to you my chart of the exact decibel levels of the night in question. It did not exceed 75 decibels.
Just a minute, though.
Yeah.
The standard isn't just decibel levels for residential.
I understand.
For resident, it is for commercial, but for residential, it's whether it's audible for 25 feet.
I didn't hear.
So the decibel level doesn't really matter.
I didn't hear sustained noise for 60 seconds on the video.
Okay.
Did you?
All right.
Sir, you're not here to ask questions of the magistrate.
Okay, that's fine, but I didn't
If
hear
you have
without
some-
Howard.
if you have something you want to submit in the record, I'll take
Yes,
it.
I will. I would like you to see the highlighted portion there.
Okay. Again, decibel levels don't really matter. You know what? I've got sworn testimony. Were you there?
No, but
you weren't there.
This wouldn't be the first time a human has said something that wasn't factual. but my noise sensor is factual, and it's the most reputable one on the market, and the video also is factual. I would like to pay, I'm happy to pay the fine, but I would like to hear 60 seconds of sustained noise, which I did not hear.
Well, I've got sworn testimony. He was there for 10 minutes and heard it.
That's fine. I would like it on record because I have a record.
He just said it. Okay, he just said
that
it.
record contradicts his testimony.
No, what you have here is the decibel level reading, which is not really, it's not relevant on a residential property. I'm going to find that the testimony of the code officer is credible. I'm going to impose the fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Our next case, page 16, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 2408-0472, case address 933 Northwest 50th Street, owner BIC Corp., posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
William Fairman.
Are you here on behalf of the respondent?
Yes, I am.
Are you counsel for the respondent?
No, I'm not.
What's your relation?
I'm the property manager.
Property manager, okay.
Inspector Kendrick with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance, presenting case and address as read. This property was first inspected on 8/18/2024, given time to correct the following violations. Violation 47-19.9.5.b has complied. Violation 47-22.9, signs has been erected at this B3 zone property without the required permits for the City of Fort Lauderdale for the following units. Unit 961, Flavors Restaurant. 957, Massage Spa. 969, IRIS. 981, Health Center. And 973, the Pawn Shop. For violation 47-22.3.u.1, the window signs at this B3 zone commercial business property exceeds 20% of the surface of the window. The business includes units 969 are IRIS, 981 Health Center, 953 Major League Heroes, and 973 the Pawn Shop. The city is requesting 35 days for violation 47-22.9 and 10 days for violation 47-22.3.u.1, or a daily fine of $100 per day for each violation thereafter.
Okay, why the distinction between the two violations in terms of time?
So one of them is the 20% windows. That's
Right.
the 20% of the windows, which is simply removing the stickers from the window.
Okay.
And the other one is permanent, which can
Right,
take
which
an
will take some time.
amount of time.
What was the recommendation on the permits, 35 days?
Yes, to receive the permits was 35 days.
Yes, sir.
Well, there's a couple of tents on there that don't even have signs, so I don't know why they're even on the list. So Premier Health doesn't have a sign. They have 20%, but they don't have a building sign.
The thing is, in the city of Fort Lauderdale, you need any signs that's erected in the city of Fort Lauderdale needs a permit.
So that's including the window signs?
Windows is a form of signage.
Okay, so I thought.
You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to get permits for the signs you want to stay.
Yep.
And then whatever signs stay, they have to make sure they don't exceed the percentage.
Right.
Thing.
So that's including the 20. That's including
So
the
what
window
he's
signs.
basically saying is he's giving you sufficient time to get the permit. He wants
Okay.
35 days.
I can
He's giving
get
you
that
less
done.
time for the signs, because I guess the idea is you could remove them if they don't meet the criteria.
Yep.
So I'll accept those recommendations. I'll find that the violation does exist. The respondent will be given till August 12th to come into compliance or face a fine of recommended fine amount?
$100 per day for each violation.
$100 per day for each violation. Okay.
And I got
He has another case. Okay.
Next case, also page 16, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 24100382, case address 5108 Northwest 10th Terrace, owner BIC Corp., posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Kendrick for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case and address as read. This property was first inspected on 10/17/2024, given time to correct the following violations. Violation 9-305A has complied. Violation 47-21.16.8, there is a dead tree stump at this B3 zone property that endangers the public health, safety, and welfare. Violation 9-280H, the fence/wall is in disrepair. Violation 18-12A, there's overgrowth, trash, rubbish, and debris on the property and swell area. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2nd, 2025, and found the property remains in violation as depicted in the photos. The city is requesting 35 days for violation 47-21.16.8, 63 days for violation 9-280H, and 10 days for violation 18-12A, or a daily fine of $100 per day for each violation thereafter.
What was the recommendation on 1812?
1812, 10 days, or $100 per day thereafter.
Yes, sir. You need to state your name again for the.
William Fairman.
Okay, and you represent the respondent, right?
Yes.
Is there anything you want to say?
Excuse me?
Is there anything you want to say?
No, regarding the CBS wall, I actually requested a copy of the conveyance, and I've just been told that I need to go to zoning to get that information, because the survey I have shows that our property line is adjacent to the concrete block wall. In order for us to replace it, I would have to destroy the other property's owner's concrete block wall to tie into it, because it's one long wall that runs across multiple properties.
You don't know whether you own the wall or not?
I do not.
Special Magistrate, Supervisor Lord, we spoke to this gentleman a few minutes ago. The wall that was damaged belongs to this property. I'm not sure about another wall having to be destroyed, but the wall that was damaged in this case belongs to this property.
How do you know that?
He has a survey of the wall as well.
Shows, I know he told me he has a survey.
Yes.
But the survey that he has, you've seen, shows the wall that you say is
correct.
disrepair.
It's on his property. What he's saying is there's another wall that remains that he would have to destroy, which, this wall shouldn't have been taken down to begin with. And then as far as the original statement that he needed a deed or something that shows responsibility for the alleyway, as I explained to him a few moments ago, in Broward County and in the city of Fort Lauderdale, the property owners are responsible for up to the median point of the alleyways.
He's going to have to get a permit for this, right?
Yes.
So when the permit process goes through, they can determine
absolutely
who owns it, and how the repair would be done and how that would affect adjacent things. So I think all those issues could be worked out at building permit process.
Okay.
So I'm going to find that the violations exist. One of them has been complied. I'm going to give you, for 4721, how many days were you looking for that?
4721.16.8, 35 days. That's to remove the tree, the dead tree.
I'm going to give you 35 days for that, or a fine of $100 a day. For 9-280H, 63 days, or a fine of $100 a day. For 1812, 10 days, or a fine of $100 a day.
Which one is that? The trash?
Yes, that's the trash and debris.
Okay.
You're responsible for the alleyway, so that alleyway side needs the trash and the overgrowth needs to be cut and maintained.
Okay, because the alleyway I have to access through another property in order to get to that. So just as an FYI, because it's a vacant lot. There's no way to drive onto the vacant lot.
The Special Magistrate, I'm sorry, that's also not the case. There's a city street that rides right next to their property.
I'll let him figure out how he's going to remedy it. Okay? Good luck, sir.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Our next case, page 32, Inspector Gail Williams. Case number CE 2407-0821. Case address 1238 Northeast 3rd Avenue. Owner Margaret Sweeney. This case was first heard 1:30:25 to comply by 4:24:25. One section complied at $50 per day for a total of $200. The city is requesting the full amount.
Good morning. Senior Officer Gail Williams for the City of Fort
Sorry,
Lauderdale.
hold just a minute. Good morning. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Margaret Sweeney.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Senior Officer Gail Williams for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 2407-0821, address 1238 Northeast 3rd Avenue. This case was first heard on January 30th, 2025 for the following violations. 9-304, parentheses B, has complied. Violation 18-12A, parentheses A, has complied. Violation 9-305B, parentheses, has complied. The city is requesting a full amount to be imposed.
Yes,
So
what
I
happened?
wasn't going to come and I was just going to pay the bill when it came in because I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner and rescheduling a bunch of psych patients I feel like is not good for the community. But the dates weren't accurate. So I noticed it was saying on the letter that you guys sent me that it was in compliance on May 2nd. But I brought the Lauderdale thing that has the correct dates and highlighted everything, and it's like 3 days wrong. But this says 10 days. I was like,
I think
150?
rather than get into the details of whether which date is right, there's been compliance on 2 of the violations. One of them is 4 days beyond the deadline, so I'm going to waive the fine. Let's just not let it happen again, though. Okay? I'm going to waive the fine.
So nothing at all?
No fine. No fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next case, page 5. Inspector John Claude Noel, case number CE 25050733, case address 920 Northeast 16th Avenue, owner 920 Northeast 16th Avenue LLC, posted at property 62725, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Good morning. State your name for the record, please.
Roman Rubin.
Okay.
And Mark Williams here as well.
Okay. What was his name?
Marcus Williams.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time figuring out which cases. Which one are we on? Got it.
Good morning.
Morning.
Officer
Go ahead.
Jean-Claude Noel for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case that has just been read, case and address. This property was first inspected on May 31st, 2025 for the following violations. 18-12A, complied. 47-21.16.A. There are 3 tree stumps after 3 tree stumps that have left after removal of trees on this property. 47-21.15.A. There are 3 trees removed from this property without first obtaining a permit. 2 coconut palms and 1 areca palm. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on June 7, 2025 on the property, and these violations still remains. The city is requesting 10 days to comply with the violation of 47-21.16A for a fine of $100 per day per violation thereafter, and the city is requesting 63 days to comply with the violation of 47-21.15.A or a fine of $100 per day per violation thereafter. The city is also requesting a fine of $150 to be imposed for every tree that was removed from the property, which is a total amount of $450. You can look at the pictures as evidence as depicted.
Well, let me ask, are you contesting it?
So we are.
Let me just get. I'm sorry. I don't mean. I'm going to give you an opportunity. But I want to just. Are you contesting or not?
We did cut down the trees, but we're in the process of getting our permits for development.
Right. Okay.
And we did submit. I actually just received from the architect a copy of the arborist report that was originally done in 2023.
But you would need a tree removal permit to take them down, wouldn't you?
Yes, Your Honor. They never obtained a permit to remove those trees from the property.
I mean, if you get a tree removal permit, you can deal with those issues. Your arborist can talk to the city and you can make those, but taking it down without a permit is why we're here this morning. That's the issue.
You're right. And I guess my mistake is, as the owner, I took over the property. And I was under the impression it was sold to me as permit ready.
I get it, but that isn't the way they worked out, though. So I'm going to find that the violations, one of them is complied, that's the trash. So the 2 remaining ones, 4721.15A, I'm going to give you 63 days to comply, or $100 a day. And for 4721.16A, I'm going to give you, what was the time frame on that? 10 days?
Can we ask for an extension on that?
We need more 10 days.
No,
we can't even get the machine in.
Yeah, no, I know. You need a
And
lot.
we have a fence up. That's
Okay. 35 days. That'd be August 12th, or a fine of $100. That's to remove the stumps. That's going to be August 12th.
Okay.
Okay. And just a minute, and one other additional, I'm going to accept the recommendation of the city and impose a $150 fine for each tree removed, which is a fine of $450. Okay?
Okay. I do have one more comment. I don't know if it'll make any difference, but in the arborist report, it does say that the trees are not in good condition.
Okay, but again, if you had submitted for the permit, that would have been relevant. You could have given it to the city, and they could have dealt with that, but we're kind of after the fact now. So thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Our next case, page 32. Inspector Gail Williams, case number CE 2501-0172, case address 1045 Northwest 3rd Avenue, owner A.R. Carrot Wood LLC, posted at first heard 4/8/25 to comply by 5/13/25. One section complied at $150 per day for a total of $6,750, and the city is requesting the full amount.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Alon Niederman.
Okay.
Senior Officer Gail Williams for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 25010172, address 1045 Northwest 3rd Avenue. This case was first heard on April 8th, 2025 for the following violations. 9-280, parentheses H, has complied. Violation 24-7, parentheses B, has complied. The city is requesting for the full amount to be imposed.
Yes, sir. What took so long?
To be honest, the contractor that we hired, he didn't understand what he needed to do. So he did what he understood.
You say the contractor that you hired?
The contract that we hired. So when we received the new complaint, we came back, we fully understand, and was fixed in a few days. But the problem was misunderstanding.
All right. I'm going to impose a fine. I'm going to reduce the fine to $1,500, but I'm going to impose that fine.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next case, page 43. Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 2409-0507, case address 3632 Southwest 16th Court, owner Dominique Williams and Danny Phillip Williams. This case was first heard 2/11/25 to comply by 4/8/25. One suspension from 4/8/25 to 7/8/25. Four sections not complied at $50 per day. Fine starts 7/9/25, and this is in order to reappear.
Good morning, ma'am. Okay.
Good morning. This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 24090507 at address 3632 Southwest 16th Court. The case was last heard on April 8, 2025, where a 91-day extension was granted to correct the violations at this property. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 1, and the following violations remained. 9305B is not complied. 9308B is not complied. 9306 is not complied, and 9304B is not complied. The fines start on July 9, 2025. This is in order to reappear.
Yes.
I'm just requesting for an extension.
Well, look, there was already one extension granted, it looks like.
Yeah.
The case was heard in February. Just let me finish. Okay, we're dealing with landscaping. We're dealing with trash and debris, which doesn't, frankly, take a lot of time to comply. The exterior walls, I guess you need to repair those. The vehicles need to be removed. It wasn't done.
Those are removed.
It says here it's not.
No, they're removed, Matt.
The vehicles were removed.
Okay. What is 9-304B then?
9304B is
Park on the grass?
Well, parking on the grass, but also driveway maintenance, the apron of the driveway.
Oh, it's driveway maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the area where the grass is missing, that has grew back. Where one of the trucks were towed, that has grew back.
That photo was taken on July 1.
It's not as bad as it was
You know what?
before.
Okay.
I don't have the funds to completely take care of all of the citations, but I've at least done some of them.
Has there been any application for building permits for the repair to the soffit and the?
No, there is no building permits on file.
Okay. All right. I don't think there's anything more for me to do than let order be as it is. All right. Continue to accrue. Start today.
The fine start tomorrow.
Start tomorrow.
I can't request for an extension?
I don't see anything in the facts that's justified, to be honest with you. I mean, the case started in February. There was one suspension. You haven't put an application in for a building permit. If there was an application in for a building permit, I sort of get a sense that it was a good faith effort to comply here. I really don't see it, though. So I'm going to let the fine start to accrue. When it's in compliance, you can apply for amnesty or mitigation. Thank you, ma'am.
Our next case, page 30, Inspector Guy Siderman, case number CE 2408-0608, case address 952 Northwest 24th Avenue, owner SFR 2012-1 Florida LLC. This case was first heard 3/27/25 to comply by 4/24/25. One suspension from 4/24/25 to 5/29/25. 3 sections not complied at $100 per day for a total of $12,000. 1 section complied at $100 per day for a total of $3,500. Grand total $15,500. The city is requesting the full amount, and the fines continue to accrue.
Morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Good morning, Louis Haran,
Okay.
property manager.
And your relationship to the respondent is what?
I'm sorry?
Your relationship to the respondent is what?
Property manager.
Property manager. Okay. Let me hear.
Okay. Guy Siderman, City of Fort Lauderdale, Code Compliance, presenting case CE 240-80608 for the property located at 952 Northwest 24th Ave. This case was first heard on 3/27/2025. The magistrate ruled in favor for the city, and the property owner was ordered to correct the violations at this property by 4/24/2025. A suspension of fines was granted from 4/24/2025 to 5/29/2025 at the special magistrate on 4/24/25 hearing. Special Magistrate Flynn granted a 35-day extension for violation 9 TAC 304B, 9 TAC 306, 18 TAC 12A, 9 TAC 363, and 9 TAC 980B, and extension denied for 9 TAC 308B. 9 TAC 280B is non-complied. There are building parts which are deteriorated and not maintained. There are walls that have moisture in them and cracks throughout the inside of the property. 9363 complied. 1812 non-complied. There's overgrowth, trash, rubbish, and debris on the property and/or its swell. The rear of the property has weeds overgrown that needs to be maintained. There are weeds growing throughout the wooden fence slates and in front of the house. There are weeds growing through the cracks.
I'll give you just 1 second. I have a question for the inspector. You still going? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This is a recurring violation from case CE 21071109. This case would be presented before special magistrate whether or not it comes into compliance prior to the scheduled hearing date. 9 TAC 306 is non-complied. The exterior building walls have not been maintained. There are areas of the exterior that have stains or missing peeling paint. 9308 is complied. 9 TAC 304 has complied.
Okay, so I'm sorry, the outstanding violations are.
He's still not finished.
Go ahead.
The 9 TAC 304 is going to be complied. However, it is a recurring violation from case CE 21071109. This case will be presented before a special magistrate whether or not it comes into compliance with the scheduled hearing date. During my pre-hearing inspection on 7/3/25, the violations of this property are still not been into compliance. The city is requesting full imposition of fines in the amount of $16,000, which fees continue to accrue. I have been working with the property manager, and he has been working.
He's been working
with
Are
me.
they? Do they have? Some of these require building permits to comply. Have they got applications in for the building permit? I would think that maybe 9-280B requires building permit.
Correct. They had the roofing permit.
Yeah. Do they have applications in for building permits?
When last time I saw, I did see the
They did.
building permit
Okay.
for the roof.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, first of
Morning.
all. The gentleman has been professional and just working with me because I know that he's gone down the line. Louis, you got to take care of this, and that, and that's kind of like what I've done. I know that last time I was here, the trash was an issue, so I stay in communication. I go there once a week to make sure trash, the property is looking up to par. There's small stuff that I know I need to follow up because once you do the roof, you could do the other part, because otherwise I'm just damaging some of the work that I need to get done in front of the home, such as a little section that you saw there from 2024 where you need to put some grass, something that looks, presentable. But now I'm at that point where I could do that now. So I'm here. I know that I could have the inside inspected. They told me Wednesday possibly or Tuesday, whatever's convenient for you, and we could try to finalize the last bit of it. The only thing I do ask for help is that I did take some pictures on the inside. The landscaping is done on the inside, but that what do you call those vines are coming from the neighbors. So and I have pictures of it where they're coming in and coming to our fence. So I don't know how to address that. I don't know how to reach out to the neighbors because I could cut my end, but it's still going to happen again. And that's just something simple, but I don't know how to reach out to the neighbors that I'm getting hit for. I'm getting blamed for.
Well, again, I'll let you talk to staff about
Yeah.
that.
He's been nothing but helpful.
Look, I think staff is saying that they're working with you. They're trying to bring it into compliance. So
Yes.
I'm open to an extension of time to suspend the fine on the remaining violations.
Yes, sir.
Does the city have a recommendation how much time that would be? Or have you guys talked about a period of time?
Yeah, I believe you need to see the inside, and that's why I said like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. It'll be, whatever's best for you.
That's fine, as long as you're with me, I can get inside and I can take a look at everything and also the rear of the property as well.
That'll work, yeah.
You guys want to do 35 days? You okay with that?
Sure, we're okay with that, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to extend the time for compliance on the outstanding violations for 35 days. That would be to August 12th. And I'll suspend the fines during that period of time.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want to do a notice to order to reappear? Do you think it's necessary? Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Good luck
Thanks, sir.
to you.
Have a good day.
Our next case, page 8, Inspector Edward Eason, case number CE 2503-0181, case address 225 Southwest 12th Avenue, owner Dex Max Holdings, LLC, posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Mark Berman.
And what's your relationship to...
I own the property.
You own the property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, Edward Easton, City of Fort Lauderdale, Code Compliance, presenting case CE 2503-0181 for the property located at 225 Southwest 12th Avenue. An inspection of the property is conducted on 3/7/25, and the following violations were observed. 47-19.1.b is complied. 47-20.20.h, there are parking facilities not being maintained at the zoned RML 25 multifamily property. The gravel is worn and not being maintained. Violation 9-305B, the landscape at the property is not being maintained in a neat and well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover, including the swale. Violation 18-4C is complied. The city is requesting 63 days or $100 per day for each violation until compliance is met.
Yes, sir.
I've been dealing with a flooding problem for 15 years, and I've talked to many people in the city, including mayors, commissioners, and my place gets totally flooded out, and there's no way for grass to grow on the swale. Also, the parking is also being damaged by the workers that have been putting up the City of Fort Lauderdale police station for the past, I'd say, 2 to 3 years. They basically use my area as a drop zone. So where my building is, right across the street, is where the City of Fort Lauderdale police station is being built. So these 18-wheelers come through, and I could show you photos where they just destroy the lawn, absolutely destroy it. Okay, and there's no way for me to keep them off there. Just the other day, I have a video I could show you of one of the workers driving on the lawn.
If it was sodded, and if it was sodded,
Yes.
and you had video of them driving over the sod, I'd be more open to that argument. But if you're not putting the sod down, then
No, the sod was down.
okay.
The sod was down. I could show you video, and I could show you some pictures.
Now, look.
You wanna see them?
No, not really.
Okay.
I make a factual finding as to whether the violation exists. You're going to have to find a way to deal with it.
Well-
I mean, you've made your point to the city, and I guess they can take that into account. But I'm going to find, I mean, it's pretty clear from the pictures that the violations exist.
I'm not saying.
I know, you're not saying they don't. I
Right.
understand. You're saying, let me tell you what I think you're saying, and you
Go
can
ahead.
tell me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
That it's flooding, that you can't get the grass to grow because of the flooding, and that they're tearing it up because they're constructing this, okay, those two things I sort of beyond the control that I have. I'm going to make a factual finding that the violations do exist. You're going to have to find a way to comply them. I'm going to give you 63 days in each instance to do that, or there'll be a fine of $100 a day for each violation. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Our next case, page 38. Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 2408-0515, case address 801 North Federal Highway, owner ACS Flagler LLC. This case was first heard 11/12/24 to comply by 11/27/24 and 3/11/25. Two suspensions noted on the agenda, 2 sections not complied at $100 per day. Fine starts 7/9/25, and this is in order to reappear.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
I'm Jordan Brown. I'm the property manager.
Okay, thank you.
Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance, presenting case CE 2408-0515, address 801 North Federal Highway. This case was first heard at the November 12th, 2024 hearing where the magistrate ruled the following. For violations 9-306, 119 days for compliance or $100 a day thereafter with a mandatory reappearance. For violation 47-2020H, 119 days for compliance or $100 a day thereafter with a mandatory reappearance. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 6, 2025, and the property remains in violation. At this time, the property manager is here to provide an update.
Yes.
Yes, so I don't know if I've appeared before you before,
I don't
but
think so.
the short version of kind of what's going on here, we've been trying to get all this done prior to even receiving a code violation and still working through that process. We're currently in the process of doing a full redevelopment of the property, which entails taking care of obviously a lot of these code violations, whole new parking lot. Essentially, the building will be brand new. In order to do that, we requested, which I have a copy of the notice, so we have a Board of Adjustment hearing tomorrow, essentially to see if we can do what we're looking to do.
What are you looking at? What is the Board of Adjustment going to consider?
Because of the size of the lot, it is super, super narrow. In order to realistically do anything with the building, it would be imperative to keep its non-conforming status. So we're slightly above the 50% threshold. So we're asking for an adjustment towards that threshold.
Variance?
A variance, correct. And again, here I can give you.
I
okay.
take your word for it. I don't need to see it.
Yes.
But, I mean, basically, you're looking for variance in anticipation of the construction on the site.
Yes, but with that said, we have full MEPs, plans. We're ready to go as long as the city approves these variances. We're very optimistic. Are
you taking the buildings that are there down?
No, we're actually adding an addition to it while also, new roof, for example. So even though there's an existing roof, because we're removing the roof and reinstalling a brand new roof, they count that towards that 50%. But in essence, we're actually expanding the building from about 3,500 square feet.
What the city's looking for is that there's, I guess, potholes and things like that in the parking that they want. And I'm not sure why that can't be resolved while you do your construction.
Because this is all included in that construction. So the parking lot is included in that, all new landscaping. There's going to be a different...
When do you anticipate that the construction work would start?
As soon as we get the go-ahead. I mean, we already have Realistically, if we get the answer we're looking for tomorrow, finishing up the permitting probably within 2 to 3 months after we get the answer, we would actually begin construction.
And if you don't get the variance?
If we don't, we have to essentially reassess what we could do. I mean, a lot of people here are familiar with this property. It is it's a hardship because there's not much we can do with it. We've explored multifamily housing. We've explored building onto the parking lot next door.
So it's possible if you don't get the variance tomorrow that you don't go forward?
Well, no, we're going to go forward with something 100%. We're not just going to leave the building there. Like I said, we've been trying to do something before we were ever cited for a code violation.
Okay.
So
what does the city want to do?
we leave it at your discretion, Magistrate.
I'm sorry?
We will leave it at your discretion.
I have a suggestion, Your Honor,
Okay,
if I
I'll be
could.
happy to take one.
I would suggest, because the Board of Adjustment hearing is somewhat dispositive on the path that the property owner is going to take, so perhaps an extension of 15 days in order to reappear on 7/23, and that way.
And we'll know.
Oh, we don't? Oh, on 8/12, so a 35-day extension,
All
and
right,
then to
okay.
reappear on the 12th?
We'll do a 35-day extension, which would be August 12th, and we'll do a order to reappear here on the 12th.
Got it.
And
Okay.
We'll figure out where you're at.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Our next case, page 6, Inspector Rafael Santos, case number CE 25040893, case address 2101 Southeast 4th Avenue, owner Anna Knezovich, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, how are you?
Good. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Jack Seiler, and I am the court-appointed conservator for this property, court-appointed by Judge Gillespie. I don't know if you're familiar with this woman's name, but this is the woman that was disappeared. It was all over the international news last year. And she's been absent for now 16 months. Her husband was arrested for the crime and then subsequently killed himself in the federal prison in Miami in April. So I have been, and I have a court order if I can show you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm not the property owner, but I am technically the conservator responsible for about 10 of their properties.
In short, you can speak for them.
Yes, I have no one to no one to communicate with about them, but the court has, as you can see, it's court appointment.
Let me hear from the city, please.
Good morning, Magistrate Rafael Santos for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 25040893. The address is 2101 Southeast 4th Ave. I inspected this property on April 30th, 2025, and the following violations were observed. 9-363, failure to register this residential rental dwelling within the city. The free application has not been submitted or is incomplete. 18-12, parentheses A, there's overgrowth, trash, rubbish, and debris on this property and or its swale. Code section 47-20.20.H, there are parking facilities that are not maintained at this property. There are weeds growing through the gravel. An inspection report was issued on April 30th, 2025. Re-inspected the property on May 29th, 2025. Notice of hearing was posted June 24, 25. Pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July the 2nd, 2025, and all violations remain as depicted in the photos. The city is requesting the following. For code section 9-363, 15 days or a fine of $50. Code section 18-12A, 15 days or a fine of $50 thereafter. Code section 47-20.20.H, 35 days or a fine of $50 thereafter.
Yeah, and I'm asking for more time, and I will tell you, and Rhonda will tell you, I actually went to her last year when I got these appointments. One of the ones was in Oakland Park. We were able to work with Oakland Park on it, but the problem is because there is no...
I'm open to granting you more time.
Yeah, I need more time because there are no survivors that we can tell.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to register for the rental property and the trash and debris. I mean, they're giving you 35 days for the weeds. Is 35 days sufficient for the other two violations?
Well, I hired a property manager for all the properties, and they're trying to go through. This one's actually listed for sale because we don't have the ability to pay for anything on these properties because of the assets are all tied up in this conservatorship. So I have to get a court approval. My next hearing is in front of the judge on the 17th.
How much time do you need?
I'd ask for like 90 days, but I can get the property, I can get somebody out there to clean up some of this weeds, but I mean, what they're going to do is spray them.
Do you anticipate registering as a rental property?
I don't anticipate owning this property in 45 days if the judge will approve a sale. We have got authority to list all these properties now, and we had to go and get them after the husband killed himself in the federal prison. There was no one now opposing her actions, her
Right.
absentee
No.
actions, right. So, but we couldn't do anything as long as there was a spouse who had an equal right in the properties.
Okay. I
And,
get it.
you know, this was all over.
Yeah.
You know, there are numerous.
Are there tenants in this property?
We had tenants in some of these properties to pay the bills. I don't think there's a tenant there now.
Yes, there are.
Is there one there now?
units.
Because I just talked to the property manager, and we have this listed, and we actually just got a contract.
Right. When I was out there, there are some units that are occupied.
How many of the units are? And I'll call the property manager.
I think maybe 2 or 3. And there are vehicles parked out.
So what do you want to do for time?
I mean, as
I
far
mean, in
as
kind of unusual circumstances.
right, as far as the overgrowth, trash, and debris, I mean, I think 15 days.
No, I want to do more than that. I mean, because
I
he's got this
can't-
bureaucracy he has to deal with.
I mean, I have
So-
to deal with the court to do anything, and if there's a tenant in there now, I got to find out if our
I mean, if
property
it-
manager put them in there.
If he was just a property manager, I'd agree with you, but there's this complications that they're deceased, and it's in 35 days for each?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
I mean, Your Honor, respectfully, I think the trash, rubbish, and debris, if there is a property manager, can be picked up, and I would suggest more time for the parking facilities because that may require, you know, some actual work to be
You want to
done.
do 35 for the first two and then 63 for the parking facilities?
Yeah, but just so we're clear, I don't know where the notice went, but I got the call from the city about this property
But if-
before I got notified by the own
But
property
if
manager.
you have an address you want the notice to go to,
Yes,
can
to
you just
our-
let us
our
know?
law firm.
Let us know right now on the record.
Yeah,
Is it to you?
Yes,
Okay,
it has to
just-
go to me, yeah.
Just read into, just stay for the
It is
record.
2850 North Andrews Avenue, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33311. And as I mentioned, I actually got a call from the city attorney before my property manager notified me of this hearing
Okay.
about 3 hours after the city did.
All right, so
It's going to an address 5403 Northeast 22nd Ave. Is that another one of their properties?
That's another one of their properties, and neither one of them has been around since
Right.
last
Yeah.
February of 2024.
All right, so for the first two violations, I'm going to give you until August 12th to come into compliance or a fine of $50 a day. And for 4720, which is the parking facility, 63 days, which would be September 9th, or a fine of $50 a day. Do you want
Thank
to
you.
do an order to reappear or not?
Yes, with an order should reappear.
All right, we'll do an order to reappear, which I guess if it's complied, you won't have to. If it's or
Yeah.
if it's sold. All right, and the order to reappear would be for September 9th.
Right, and if you will, there's other properties in the city, so if you don't mind updating any of the records that reflect the Knisevich family, it's a very unusual name.
Yeah, I see. I actually just did a BCPA search. Her name only comes up on 2 properties in Fort Lauderdale, but if you know of other ones that are like, if there's a corporation, just shoot me an email and we'll make sure that it gets in the system that we notify
Right.
you on all of them.
Thank you, and I think that court order I handled, His
Oh, yeah,
Honor.
Just submit them into the record, and I'll give you a copy of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next case, page 41, Inspector Rachel Moore, case number CE 2308-0539, case address 519 Southwest 27th Avenue, owner 519 Southwest 27th Avenue LLC. This case was first heard 4/9/24 to comply by 4/19/24, 5/14/24, and 7/9/24. 3 suspensions noted on the agenda. 1 section not complied at $100 per day for a total of $3,600, and this is in order to reappear.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You state your name for the record.
Bill Stecker.
And you're here on behalf, what's your,
William Stecker,
and your relationship to 519 Southwest?
contractor.
Contractor, okay.
Inspector Rachel Moore for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 23080539, address 519 Southwest 27th Avenue. This case was first brought before the Special Magistrate on 4/9/24. At the Special Magistrate hearing, Special Magistrate Cannon ordered 10 days to comply for violation 9-363. 35 days for violation 9-306, and 91 days for violation 47-20.20 parentheses H, or $100 per day thereafter with the mandatory reappearance. At the special magistrate hearings dated 7/9/24, Flynn granted a 91-day extension and an order to reappear. At the special magistrate hearing dated 11/12/24, Special Magistrate Flynn ordered an additional 147-day extension and an order to reappear. At the special magistrate hearing dated 4/8/25, Special Magistrate Cannon granted an additional 91-day extension and an order to reappear. As a pre-hearing inspection dated 7/7/25, the violation of 47-2020 parentheses H, parking facilities, remain out of compliance. The city is requesting the full imposition of fines and that fines continue to accrue.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We've corrected everything we could correct on that building. Repainted, seal coated, we patched the parking in the front and the sides of the building, reseal coated it and striped it. I just showed Ms. Moore. The problem we have in the back, the original owners.
Wait a minute, are we talking about the parking facilities? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right. The original owners, and I found in the city records the original layout. The back parking area was paved.
Okay.
We believe sometime between then and when my client bought the building, they must have torn up the asphalt and
When
put
did
down.
your client buy the building?
I have to look. I don't remember.
Well, just roughly.
I don't.
It's all right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. We believe the previous owner did this because of flooding. They put the gravel down instead of asphalt. Originally, it was asphalt. Now, the problem we're having is I've had engineers out there. You have 3 properties that surround.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it sounds like we're starting to go into. There's already an order, right?
Yes.
That requires that this works. So I'm not going to revisit the order. I'm not going to go back and relitigate the issue of whether or not this has to be complied. Just let me finish.
Okay.
That's done. I mean, there's an appeal process. If you don't agree with the appeal process, you can appeal it to the courts. That wasn't done. So the order stands. The only issue I have before me is whether there's additional time granted or whether I impose the fine. So that's what I'm trying to sort out. If you tell me I can't do it, I can't do anything with that argument. What I need to do is have some sense of when you can comply this.
And Your Honor, in answer to your question, they've owned the property for almost 10 years. They bought the property in November 2015.
Okay. Again, so I'm not going to relitigate the whole issue about how do you envision that this gets complied?
We're in the process of applying for a variance to allow gravel parking due to the
Is there
flooding.
an application in for a variance?
Yep. Put it up.
Who hears that? The Board of Adjustment?
No, it goes to, I believe, zoning. I'm going to go into the city and find out why they haven't answered me. But I showed Ms. Morrill.
Is there a process to get a variance?
I'm on planning and zoning and
I'm sorry.
plantation, and it's nothing like Fort Lauderdale's.
Well, that's what we're dealing with Lauderdale. Is there such a thing?
Good morning, Your Honor. Supervisor Cloyne with the City of Fort Lauderdale. So there is a process. I don't know exactly how long it would take.
Who decides the issue?
So he would have to go through the zoning department, and they would
but it's done administratively, right? There's no board?
to my knowledge, yeah.
Okay. You're talking about, well, just with, again, just trying to figure out the time constraints, but do you have an idea who do you expect to make the decision? Is it an administrative process, do you know?
It's an administrative process. I've applied. I have not gotten an answer yet. I'm going to go into the city.
Is there an application form?
Yeah. I have it with me. I showed it to Ms. Moore.
Can I see it? Yeah, let me see it, if I could.
That's how it works.
Let me see this. I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'm going to. Okay, thank you. Let me take a look here.
Drawn-out process.
That's BOA. What is that? Board of Adjustment? So you've made an application to the Board of Adjustment to grant you this, right?
Yeah, they told me I had a...
Okay. I'm sorry. If you need to go back to the microphone, if you could. All right. Just give me a second here.
Everything is electronic. You have to upload.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I did it right.
So the Board of Adjustment, if in fact that's where it goes, because again, I don't typically handle land use boards, there's a very short wait for that board.
I mean, I'd be
So
willing
it's-
to get, if he's got an application to get before the Board of Adjustment, they have the authority to grant the variance or not. I guess we should find out what the Board of Adjustment's going to do. So let's grant an extension of time for what? 63 days? Does that make sense to anybody?
I have no oppositions. If we could stay the fines, though, during that time?
If we could what?
Stay the fines.
Yeah, I would. I would stay the fines.
The only question I have is, if we do get the variance...
Let's deal with that let's deal with that when it comes. I'm not going to answer a question about something that's going to happen down the road. Let the board deal with it. No, I just don't want to... I want the latitude to do what I need to do.
I'm discussing time.
Okay.
If and when we get the variance, we have to first apply for a building permit. So looking at
Here's what I'm going to do. Let's deal with those issues when we know where we're at. Okay? So I'm going to grant an extension for 63 days with an order to reappear, and that would be September 9th, 2025. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And by the way, I used to be on the code board in Fort Plantation.
Okay.
I know how it works.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, we'll stay the fines during that period. Thank you. We're going to stay the fines during that period of time. We're going to stay the fine during that period of time until we get an answer from the Board of Adjustment.
We're trying.
No, I know. I mean, I can tell by that by virtue of the suspensions that you've gotten in the past. That sends a message to me that there's been an attempt to, and you've complied the rest of them. So let's see where we're at.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next case, page 24, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 25050086, case address 2010 Southwest 23rd Terrace, owner Todd and Christine Irwin, personal service on 6/24/25, posted at 1 East Broward 6/24/25.
Good morning. State your name for the record, please.
Good morning. Todd Irwin.
Okay, thank you.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 25050086 at address 2010 Southwest 23rd Terrace. This case was first cited on May 4, 2025 for the following violations. 18-4C is complied. There is a derelict vessel docked in the rear of the property. The vessel is identified as the enabler with an FL number of FL2560EW. The vessel was determined to be derelict due to having an expired registration. This is a repeat violation. Refer to case number CE 22020-140. Fines shall begin to accrue immediately. Fines shall run daily until compliance is met. This case will be scheduled for special magistrate whether or not compliance is met to impose the fines. 47-34.1.A.1. There is illegal land use occurring at this RS-8 zoned property. There is outdoor storage of filing cabinets and a seat cushion. In addition, there is outdoor storage in the rear of the property, including but not limited to buckets, red cloth, boat seats, and other miscellaneous items. 47-34.4.B.1 is complied. 9-305B. The landscape at this property is not being maintained in a neat and well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover on the swale. 47-34.1.A.1 is complied. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 1, and 47-34.1.A.1 and 9305B remained. The city is seeking a fine of $500 for 18-4C and a compliance deadline of 15 days for 47-34.1.A.1 and a compliance deadline of 35 days for 9-305B, or a fine of $50 per day per violation to run thereafter.
What is it for 47-34?
47-34.1.A.1 is the outdoor
Yeah,
storage.
but what are you looking for a compliance date on that again?
15 days.
Or $50 a day?
Yes.
I don't understand the 18.4C is complied, right?
Yes, so that was a repeat violation. So the city was had fines running daily immediately. So the city is asking $500 for that one.
Which
That-
is a repeat?
The 18-4C, the derelict vessel.
It was derelict because
Okay,
it was.
but that's
it
been
wasn't- just-
squared
just a
away.
minute, just a minute, just a minute. I'm sorry. It's derelict because it wasn't registered, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so registration cleared the violation, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I cut you off. Is there anything else you want to add?
That's it.
Okay, yes, sir.
So everything, as far as on the swale, that's where they come and they pick up the bulk trash. Excuse me, bulk trash every month. So it's hard to keep something down on the ground. I'm in the process of putting rock down there. You can see where I've dug it up.
Well, let me ask
Not-
you: is rock permitted?
Not in the swale, no.
Look, I live in the city of Oakland Park. We have bulk pickup once a month too, and you can maintain the lawn there. I mean, we do it. They're going to come pick it up at my house, I think today, as a matter of fact. We got a pile of debris there. It doesn't kill the grass because it sits there for just a couple of days while they do the bulk pickup. So I'm really not going to, that doesn't seem like credible.
Well, no,
to me.
but I'm
Let
saying
me just
is-
finish. And the other thing is that I think they're saying that the stones aren't going to be a sufficient, you're going to have to do something besides that.
The stones are not.
Are not going to, they're not,
No.
I wouldn't think.
They're not sufficient. What else can I put there?
Well, I'll let you talk
The
to
city
staff.
put those there.
I'll let you talk to staff about that. I
The
suppose
city,
they
the
need-
city, the city.
Just a
put
minute,
the-
let me finish. Do they need ground cover? Is that what they need?
Yes, the swale should be living ground cover.
Okay. What about the commercial vehicles complied, right?
Yes.
So what we've got is that there's debris, there's seat cushions and the rest that you want in 15 days. The landscaping, you're going to give them 35 days. And you're looking for a one-time fine for the repeat violation on the unregistered boat, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to find that those violations exist. I'm going to impose the one-time fine for $500 for the failure.
You're going to fine me $500?
Yeah, for
what?
For the vessel that was, it was a repeat violation. Apparently, there was a prior case in which it was unregistered. So you complied it by registering it, but they're looking for a fine for the fact that it occurred again, and I'm going to do that. The second.
You can't waive that fine?
No, well, I can, but I'm not going to. The other two are, I'm going to give you 15 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day. That's for the filing cabinets, debris, and all the rest. And the ground cover, I'm going to give you 35 days or $50 a day to comply. Okay.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah, the ground cover, I'm going to give you 35 days to take care of or face a fine of $50 a day. You're going to have to sod it or something. You can talk to staff about how to do that, but the stones aren't going to work. Okay? Thank you.
The city is the one who told me to put stone there when they did the storage. The city said to put stone there.
I'll let you talk to staff about that, okay? Okay, what's next?
All set?
Yep, thanks.
Our next case, excuse me, page 15, Inspector Gustavo Caracas, case number CE 2504-0802, case address 1517 East Las Olas Boulevard, owner Las Olas by Hammock LLC. This is service by appearance, and it was posted at 1 East Broward on 6/24/25.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
George Spiru, S-P-R-O-U.
And you're here on behalf of Las Olas by Hammock LLC?
Yes, sir.
What's your relationship to them?
I'm the owner of the building.
The owner of the building.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Special Magistrate Gus Caracas for the City of Fort Lauderdale, Co-Compliance Inspector, presenting case number CE 2504-0802 for the property located at 1517 East Las Olas Boulevard. Inspection of the property was performed on April 29th and cited for the following violations. 24-56-3, the sidewalk in front of the property establishment requires to be cleaned or pressure washed. The area has stains and or elements that are not part of the sidewalk. 47-20.20.H, the parking facility located at the rear of the property is not being maintained. There are potholes at the rear of the property. 9-305B, the landscape and planters at the property is not being maintained in a neat and well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover in front of the property. There are weeds growing from the decorative stones located in front of the property. The planters placed in front of the property were dead and dying. The exterior 9-306, the exterior building walls have not been maintained. There are areas of the exterior walls that have stains. 9-280B, there are building parts which are deteriorated and not maintained, including but not limited to the missing awnings, covers outside of the establishment, in the front and rear of the building. 9-280G has complied. 18-12A, there's overgrowth, trash, rubbish, and debris on the property and on its swale, including but not limited to the alleyway area and the frontage of the establishment. Courtesy notice was mailed to the property owner listed on BCPA via first class mail on April 29th, allowing 15 days to come into compliance. Contact just has been made with the property owner recently, but not with the tenant. Special magistrate request form sent on May 29th and scheduled for today's special master. And pre-hearing inspection was carried out on July 3rd, and pictures presented here were taken to confirm the violations have not been brought into compliance. The city is requesting the following. For 24-56-3, 15 days. 47-20.20.H, 35 days. 9-305B, 35 days. 9-306, 35 days. 9-280B, 35 days. And 18-12, 35 days, or a daily fine of $100 for each of the violations that exist. Photos submitted into record for evidence, and we have the property owner with us today.
Yeah, give me just 1 second. I just want to look at my notes here. For 9280B, does he need building permits for that?
No, sir. He just have to. It's an awning that he requires to have on the property. The structure of the awning exists, but there's no awning.
No awning.
Correct.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, I just want to indicate here for the record, we don't live in the U.S., we live in Canada. This is a rental property, a commercial building that we have rented to a tenant. He is responsible for maintaining those facilities, but I get it, it's my final responsibility. The problem is here that we were not aware of any of these things at all until we received a registered letter in the mail on July the 2nd, 2 of these at the same time. That's the first time we became aware of that.
Where does notice being, what's the property appraiser say for notice for this?
It's a Toronto, Canada address, Your Honor.
So you guys would have sent certified mail there, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Did you get a green card back for that?
Yes. We received it on July the 2nd, 2 of these.
You do have one?
First time we knew about it.
Yeah.
Magistrate,
Yes.
if I may, besides sending it via regular mail and certified mail, we also post it on the property, sir. So if the
No,
tenant...
I know he's, the tenant's not informing him.
Yes.
I
Correct.
Basically, that's what he's telling me. He's clearly got notice. I think he's trying to say basically they expect the tenant to take care of this. The tenant has not, but he acknowledges that's your problem, not really. That's between you and the tenant. I guess what I'm struggling with a little bit is that on one hand, I think it needs to be complied with quickly, but some of the, realistically, well, we could do 35 days with an order to reappear for those violations.
That will be fine.
I'm going to give him 35 on the pressure cleaning. I mean, we'll just be consistent. So, I mean, I don't think you're contesting the violations, are you? You understand that they exist?
If he says so,
Yeah.
I don't
Well, I
understand.
think the pictures show them as well,
The point
so-
is that we
Right.
were never
Well,
told that there is a problem.
Yeah, I'm going to find the violations exist. In each instance, I'm going to give you 35 days to come into compliance, which would be August 12th, or a fine of $100 per day. So we're going to set it for, it'd be in order to reappear here on August 12th. Kind of see where you're at. I don't want you to misinterpret that statement to think that there's going to be an extension. There's no such, I mean, that's not a given by any means. But you will be back here to see where you're at. Otherwise, the fines will start to accrue that day, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you, I think, is you need to get started on this. You need to comply it if you can within the time frame. Some of these I think you clearly can. If you're not, I will be back on August 12th, but there's no guarantee that there's going to be additional time, right? So
I'm going to, I already met with Mr. Caracas the next day after we received
That's a good thing.
After we received this. We went over everything.
Okay.
There is full understanding and cooperation here
Good
to
deal.
do whatever is required to do.
Good.
And he is indicating to me that he's going to work with me to make sure everything is done properly at the right time.
That's all good
And
stuff.
I am starting right away. I'm here for this purpose. And we may even have it done before then.
Hopefully.
If that's the case, can we waive the reappearance? Because I may be
Well,
out
stay
of
in touch with the code
country
officer
at the
and
time.
they'll determine compliance.
Yeah.
So we'll worry
Yeah.
about that after that.
Yeah, the
down
only
road.
possibility, the only problem here is the awnings, because I have to get quotes.
Well, I'll let you deal with those details with the code officer.
More time there.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, we'll start with 35.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, folks.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, we do 35. We do 35 across the board.
Our next case, page 40, Inspector Mohammed Dayam, case number CE 24120155, case address 833 Southwest 30th Street, numbers 1, 2 through 8, owner Woodlands Rentals LLC. This case was first heard 4/8/25 to comply by 4/18/25 and 7/8/25. 4 sections not complied at $100 per day. Fine starts 7/9/25, and this is in order to reappear.
Good morning. State your name for the record, please.
News Wise.
Okay.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, Code Compliance Officer, presenting case CE 24120155 on behalf of Mohammed Dayam for the property located at 833 Southwest 30th Street. This case was first heard on April 8, 2025. The magistrate granted 91 days extension to comply for violation 47-20.20.h and 47-20.13.f, or a fine of $100 per day per violation thereafter. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 3, 2025, and the property remains in violation. This is a mandatory reappearing. The city is requesting fines to start to accrue.
Yes.
So I had the fence fixed. It was painted already. I think Mohammed passed by on June 19, but I don't know if he took photos.
Here's the deal. You might want to move that microphone down so I can pick it up a little bit. Thanks. There's this issue about there's gravel in an area that it's not permitted, and there's apparently there's cracks in the concrete and the parking needs to be restriped. This was heard before, and you were given 91 days to comply. I don't hear anything that suggests. Just let me finish if I can. I don't hear anything that suggests that there's been much progress in that 91 days.
Magistrate?
Yes.
Supervisor Brown, City of Fort Lauderdale, to the right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I would just for the record like to say that a permit was filed for the paving, but that wasn't filed until July 3rd.
Well, it is some progress, though.
Yes, the thing that happened was that I had two persons before, two runners that were doing supposedly the permits. The first one didn't do anything. The second took money. Then this one is the one that just got on June.
Here's the deal. I didn't think there was any progress, but I think what they're saying is it was filed pretty late. I mean, right before the hearing. But nevertheless, we're trying to get compliance here. So I'm open to an extension of 35 days. City opposed to that?
The city would actually recommend a little bit more time because of the job that they're going to do.
Okay.
So if we could recommend the 63 days, if you're not
Fine
opposed.
with me, 65 days and 63, I'm sorry. And for the gravel violation as well? You're okay with both? All right, let's grant an extension. Do you want an order to reappear or not? You want an order to reappear, you think, or not? Okay, so I'm going to grant an extension, suspend the fines. It'll be until September 9th, 2025. But there'll be no order to reappear, so that's basically going to be it. You're going to have to take care of it within that time frame, okay? All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Our next case, page 22, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 2502-0075, case address 2685 Marathon Lane, owner Donald J. Adams, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Good morning, folks. Can you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Donna Ruddock.
Okay.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 2502-0075 at address 2685 Marathon Lane. This case was first cited on February 4, 2025 for the following violations. 9-308B, the roof has stains. 9-306, there are areas of the exterior that have stains and missing peeling paint. There are areas of the fascia that do not blend in with the surrounding colors. The metal above the fascia has stains. 47-39.A.1.B, 12D. There is a vessel docked at or moored to private docks or by mooring pilings that shall not extend into a waterway more than 33% of the width of the water measured from the recorded property line at this RS-6.85A zoned property. The vessel is identified as Seas to Sea. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2, and all the violations remained. The city is seeking a compliance deadline of 35 days for all the violations, or a fine of $50 per day per violation to run thereafter.
Yes.
I wanted to extend it. Can I have more time for Mr. Donald Adams? I'm his caretaker. Donald Adams has cancer right now, going through chemo and radiation, and I'm here to represent him.
How much time do you need?
How much time could you give us? You gave us 60 days, maybe, just to get everything done.
I think, Your Honor, part of the issue is the vessels, due to the vessel's size, it's, yeah.
Can I say something?
Competing.
The vessel
Tell me,
actually-
tell me about the vessel. I mean, the other ones are aesthetics, but if you're blocking the waterway, there's an issue there. So I think, yes, go ahead.
Yes, I mean, with the numbers I worked at, it's actually within an inch, but they're assuming that because of the bumpers that they put on, it's going to be out an inch or two. But we have pictures that the gentleman is not using the fenders because he's got it right up against the pylons. I sent them to Mr. Flesher. So it's within the limit. It's actually an inch within the limit.
So yes, the measurements that were done on the BCPA website, so the river is 80 feet across. 33% of 80 is 26.4 feet. The city is assuming that the dock is 5 feet. So the maximum total allowance for a boat would be 21.4 feet. Based on the website that we checked the breadth of the ship Seas to Sea, it's 21.3 feet, which would only allow about 1 inch within. So based on that, it's within compliance by 1 inch. However, there are bumpers on the boat, which the city would assume would push it out more than an inch. So I did already talk to them to come by tomorrow to take physical measurements with a tape measure.
Let me ask you a question. If they remove the bumpers, are they in compliance?
If they remove the bumpers and the boat does not move off from the dock at all, it would have to be like
Right, now I know it's an inch.
right.
It's an inch.
then yes, it would be
It's
in
also
compliance.
based on the understanding that the dock's 5 feet. Do you know that for a fact?
Not for a fact, but the average dock is 5 feet, so that's
Okay.
what
I mean,
the
one
city
of
is
the things,
assuming.
if you're going to come by, you might be able to, because if the dock's 6 feet, then we have a bigger issue than
Right.
we have an inch. So you
Yes.
might be able to determine the dock size. Actually, it might even be smaller, but I doubt it.
Mhm.
But, so, if it's an inch, I doubt whether it's really, I don't think it's the hindrance to the waterway that it might normally be, right? I mean, if
May I
it's,
say something else again?
just a minute, I'm just trying to
It would be with the buffer zone.
yeah. Okay. So what time frame are you looking for the boat?
35 days for the boat.
Okay, that makes sense. You were going to say something?
Yeah, the captain had said there was a boat parked across that left a week ago at this point. The Birdie that was also really wide, it left. So now the space is wide open again.
But again, it comes down to your boat. And I think they're going to go out and confirm. I mean, it would, obviously, if they determine that it's with an inch in compliance, that's going to, you have to make sure you don't put the bumpers back or you're going to be back here again. So all right, 35 days seems reasonable for that, since you can go out and measure tomorrow, basically.
Yeah.
And the other one, you're looking for 63 days, right? Or not?
Correct. Just to make sure power wash and everything that you said.
Yeah, the
And
city's
what,
not opposed to it.
$100 a day? Are we looking?
$50 a day per
For all of
violation.
them?
Yes.
All right, for the vessel violation, it'll be 35 days compliance date or $50 a day. For the two other violations, it'll be 63 days, which would be September 9th. The 35 days is August 12th. The 63 is September 9th, or a fine of $50 a day for each violation. You're not looking for an order to reappear, are you? No. Okay. Thank you, folks.
Right, thank you.
Good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
Our next case, page 8, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 2505-0331, case address 2518 Key Largo Lane, owner Stephanie Maria Brown and Kyle Brandon Lehman, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Good morning. You state your name for the record,
Good morning.
please.
My name is Stephanie Brown.
Okay.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 25050331 at address 2518 Key Largo Lane. The case was first cited on May 14, 2025 for the following violations. 18-1 is complied. There is storage of cardboard boxes under the carport at this property that is creating a public nuisance. It is being maintained in such a manner that the property may adversely affect and impair the economic welfare of adjacent properties. This is a recurring violation. Refer to case number CE 25040-578. This case will be presented to the special magistrate seeking a finding of fact whether or not the violation comes into compliance prior to the hearing date. 47-39.A.1.B6B is complied. 47-34.1.A.1 is withdrawn. 24-27.B is complied. All violations were complied as of May 28. The city is seeking a finding of fact for violation 18-1.
Okay. I'm going to give you a second. So what you're looking for is it's in compliance, but you want a finding of fact if it were to reoccur, right?
That's correct.
What they're looking for, they acknowledge that it's in violation. They want me to make a ruling that the violation did occur,
Right.
with the idea that if it were to reoccur again, they could cite you, and there wouldn't have to be a time to come into compliance. It would start immediately, and then the fines could be greater for a repeat violation.
Right. I have a tenant in there. I'm just the property owner. So we gave him a 7-day notice to cure. But we also have a more substantial fine on the property because he had a noise violation and public nuisance.
Okay, I don't have those today.
Okay.
I just have this. This is all I have.
Okay.
So they're telling me it's in compliance. I'm going to make a factual finding that it was not at one point. There'll be no fine, but you're on notice that if it were to happen again, that there would be an immediate fine that starts to run, and there could be greater fine amounts. So, okay? Good luck. Thank you.
Next case, page 42, Inspector Guy Siderman, case number CE 2403-0341, case address 535 Northwest 23rd Avenue, owner Florida Fast Home Buyer LLC. This case was first heard 9/26/24 to comply by 10/24/25. 2 suspensions noted on the agenda. 1 section not complied to $50 per day for a total of $4,150, and this is in order to reappear.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Andrew Maximov, manager of Florida Fast Home Buyer.
Okay, thank you.
Guy Siderman, City of Fort Lauderdale, Code Compliance, presenting case CE 24030-341 for the property located at 535 Northwest 23rd Avenue. This case was first heard on 9/26/2024. The magistrate ruled in favor of the city, and the property owner was ordered to correct the violations of the property by 10/24/2025. A suspension of fines were granted from 1/14/2025 to 4/8/2025, also 4/8/2025 to 7/8/2025. At the special magistrate on 4/8/2025 hearing, Special Magistrate Cannon granted a 91-day extension and an order to reappear on 7/8/2025. Violations 9, Tag 306 is non-complied. The exterior and the building walls have not been maintained. Structural parts, including the fascia, is in disrepair. There are areas of the exterior that have stains and missing peeling paint has become stained. Violation 9, Tag 280C is withdrawn. Violation 9, Tag 280B withdrawn. Violation 1812A is in compliance. Violation 9, Tag 308B is withdrawn. Violation 9, Tag 280H1 complied. As of my pre-hearing inspection on 7/3/2025, the violations at this property are still not been into compliance. The city is requesting of fines to continue to accrue.
So me and the buyer for the property, the attorney, my attorney and his attorney are figuring out the paperwork so they could close soon. And we're asking for an extension so this new buyer will fix the property.
I sometimes have seen cities enter into agreements between the parties that it deals with the transfer of the property and that the new property owner will take it over subject to those violations. I mean, that's going to happen anyway. Whoever buys the property is going to buy it with those violations on it.
Yeah, the city typically doesn't enter into agreements like that. No, sir.
Okay. So what do you want to do?
Hi, good morning. Supervisor Cloyan, City of Fort Lauderdale. When was the sale?
No, the sale hasn't taken place. He
Oh,
says
so it
they're in
hasn't as of yet.
negotiations.
I mean,
I mean, the violations existed since September of last year.
Yeah, the case, it's a year-old case.
the city would oppose any additional time, but if you want to, I mean, it's up to you.
I'm
We'll leave it
going
up to you.
to impose the fine. It's been a year. And the parties can deal with it when they transfer the property. And actually, the sale may not even take place. Who knows? But anyway, I'm going to impose the fine. Thank you, sir.
You were what?
I'm going to impose the fine.
So it's going to continue?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the end of the respondents. We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Okay. What time is it? Rhonda, can I ask? 11:03. We're ahead of schedule, maybe?
I think we will be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. If I can be, yes. Hello. Are you looking to hear it before the break?
Yes.
Only because we have a city employee.
We have a city from our landscape division here.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's take an hour break. I state to everyone, in cases in which there was no one here, the first thing I'm going to look for is just notice so that I know you won't have it on the agenda unless you have it on notice, but I want it on the record so I understand that they're not here because they chose not to be here, not that they don't know that it's taking place. So it's just kind of this thing I have. The cases when they're not here, the first thing I want, if you'll tell me, is how you have notice, okay?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading that.
Okay, okay, great.
We're ready, Jerry? Next case, page 10, Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 25020491, case address 800 West Sunrise Boulevard, owner Goddess Ltd, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance presenting case CE 25020491, address 800 West Sunrise Boulevard. This case was first inspected on February 19th, 2025, and the following violation was observed. 47-21.15A, there was an oak tree that was removed without a permit. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 6, 2025, and the property remained in violation. At this time, the city is requesting a fine of $150 for the tree removal and 63 days to obtain an after-the-fact permit or a fine of $150 a day thereafter.
This is Robert Fisk. I'm with the city. I'm a landscape permit reviewer. I was asked to look at photographs of before and after, and indeed a large oak tree was removed from the property and a permit was never obtained.
Okay. All right, I'll find there's notice. I'll accept sworn testimony that the violations exist, and I'll issue an order that's consistent with the city's request.
Thank you. 63 days.
63 days or a fine of
$150 a day.
150
thereafter.
a day. Thank you.
Now we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, thanks.
Our first case, page 2, Inspector Paulette Del Grosso, case number CE 2504-0016, case address 429 Seabreeze Boulevard, owner Seabreeze South LLC, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Good morning. Inspector Del Grosso for the city. The case and address are as read. This matter was first inspected by Officer Ed Eason on April 17, 2025 for the following violation. 17-7.3, there is no noise ongoing related to sanitation occurring outside of the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. daily. Officer Eason confirmed the violation on April 17th by witnessing Republic Services emptying dumpsters at 4:38 a.m. He then prepared an inspection report for mailing with a compliance date of April 27th. On April 28th, he re-inspected to find early service continuing at 4 a.m. Subsequently, he observed early service at 3:55 a.m. on May 8th, 4:52 a.m. on June 2nd, 3:55 a.m. on June 16th, 4:14 a.m. on June 30th, and 3:50 a.m. on July 7th. Therefore, the city requests 10 days or $150 per day thereafter. That's correct.
Special Magistrate, I'm sorry, just for clarification, it should be 10 days and $150 per occurrence thereafter. Yes.
So you come back, and if they did it 4 more times, you'd make a presentation that shows how many times it occurred, and you look for 150 each time. Okay. All right, so I'm going to find there's notice. It's posted, accepted testimony of the city, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. I'll find that the violation exists. The respondent will be given 10 days to come into compliance or face fine of $150 for each violation that occurs thereafter.
Thank you.
Next case, page 3, Inspector Guy Siderman, case number CE 2502-0588, case address 2170 Northwest 6th Court, owner Aces and Golden Investments LLC, posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Guy Satterman, City of Fort Lauderdale, Code Compliance, presenting case CE 241-10569 for the property located at 2170 Northwest 6th Court. The property was first inspected on 3/17/2025 and given time to correct the following violations. 9 TAC 308B complied, 9 TAC 305 complied, 9 TAC 280H1 complied, 9 TAC 306 complied. The exterior building walls have not been maintained, structural, including the fascia and soffits. There are areas of the exterior that have stains and missing peeling paint. This is a recurring violation per case number CE 230-70825. This violation would be presented to the special magistrate as a finding of fact whether or not it complies prior to the scheduled hearing date. 18 TAC 12A complied. There's overgrowth, trash, rubbish, and debris on the property and its swell. There is overgrowth along the fence, including but not limited to the swell area. This is a reoccurring violation per case number CE 230-70825. This violation will be presented to the special magistrate as a finding of fact whether or not it complies prior to the scheduled hearing. 9 TAC 304B complied. The gravel and paved driveway is not well graded and or dust free. The paved driveway has stains, dark marks, and needs to be cleaned. Also, there are a few spots that need to be filled, and the rock driveway needs to be replenished with rock, and there are weeds and grass growing through the rocks. This is a recurring violation per case number CE 230-70825, and will be presented to the special magistrate as a finding of fact whether or not it complies prior to the scheduled hearing date. The city is requesting a finding of fact for the violations 9 TAC 306, 18 TAC 12A, 9 TAC 304B. I'd like to submit my case file and photos to the court.
All right, I'm going to find that there's notice, there's posting, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violations exist. I'll make findings of fact for section 9-306, 1812A, 939-304B, If they were to happen again, there'd be repeat violations, which could be cited right away, and there'd be greater fine amounts potentially.
Thank you.
Next case, page 4, Inspector John Claude Noel, case number CE 2504-0195, case address 2829 North Federal Highway, owner Jagermeister 1 LLC, personal service on 6/27/25, posted at 1 East Broward 6/24/25.
Officer John Claude Noel with the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case that had just been read and addressed. This property was first inspected on April 9, 2025 for the following violations: 47-20.20H. There are parking facilities that are not maintained at this property. The asphalt surface has damage. Its surface is damaged. There are potholes gathering water, causing a public nuisance. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 7, 2025. The property remains in violation. The city is requesting 63 days to comply with the violation, or a fine of $100 per day thereafter.
Okay, I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. I'll find that the violation exists. The respondent will be given 63 days to come into compliance, which would be September 9th, 2025, or face a fine of $100 a day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next case, page 5, Inspector Rafael Santos, case number CE 2504-0481, case address 831 Southwest 13th Street, numbers 1 and 2, owner Jason Franco. This case is being rescheduled. Next case, Inspector Rafael Santos, case number CE 2504-0641, case address 1600 South Federal Highway, owner Hess Retail Stores LLC, posted at property 6/24/25, posted at 1 East Broward 6/24/25.
Rafael Santos for the City of Fort Lauderdale. Case and address is read into the record. I inspected the property on April 22nd, 2025, and the following violations were observed. 47-19.4.D.8, there's a dumpster enclosure that is missing peeling paint and dumpster gates missing wood slats, not maintained at this location. 9-280, parentheses H, parentheses 1, the concrete fence at this property is in disrepair and is not being maintained as required. There are broken and missing slats. Code section 18-12, parentheses A, there is trash, rubbish, and debris at this property and or its swale. Code section 18-1, there's graffiti on the dumpster enclosure at this property that is creating a public nuisance. It is being maintained in such a manner that it may adversely impair the economic welfare of adjacent properties. An inspection report was posted on April 22nd, 2025. I re-inspected the property May 22nd, 2025. Notice of hearing was posted June 24th, 2025. Pre-hearing inspection was conducted July 2nd, 2025. The violations remain as depicted in the photos. The city is requesting the following. For code section 47-19.4.D.A, 35 days or a fine of $100 thereafter. Code section 9-280H1, 35 days or a fine of $100 thereafter. Code section 1812-A, 15 days or a fine of $100 thereafter. Code section 18.1, 15 days or a fine of $100 thereafter.
Have you heard from them?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. I'll find that the violations exist. For 47-19.4.D8, 35 days, which would be August 12th for a fine of $100 a day. 9-280H1, 35 days or a fine of $100 a day. 1812A, 15 days or a fine of $100 a day. 18.1, 15 days or a fine of $100 a day.
Next case, page 6, Inspector Rafael Santos, case number CE 2503-0820, case address 248 Southwest 23rd Street, owner Daniel McKenna, posted at property 6/24/25, posted at 1 East Broward 6/24/25.
Rafael Santos for the City of Fort Lauderdale. Case and address as read into the record. I inspected the property on March 29th, 2025, and the following violations were observed. 47-20.13.B, the gravel on the swale of this RM15 zone property is in disrepair. The gravel is not in a well-grade condition. It is worn through and there are weeds and grass growing through it. Code Section 47-19.1.d. There is a car canopy frame erected in the backyard of this occupied property. Car canopy is not listed as an accessory structure in this residential area. Code Section 47-34.1.a.1. There is illegal land use occurring at this RM15 zone property. There is outdoor storage, including but not limited to tools, tires, jacks, wood, and miscellaneous items being stored on this property. Code Section 9-304B. There are vehicles and trailers parked in the grass lawn area in the rear of the property. The driveway is stained and or discolored. Violation 1812A is complied. An inspection report was issued on March 29, 2025. I re-inspected the property April 23, 2025, and on May 21, 2025. Notice of hearing was posted June 24, 2025. Pre-hearing inspection was conducted July 2, 2025. The violations remain as depicted in the photographs. The city is requesting the following. For Code Section 47-20.13.b, 35 days or a fine of $50 thereafter. Code Section 47-19.1.d, 35 days or a fine or a $50 per day. Code Section 47-34.1.a.1, 15 days or a fine of $50 thereafter. And Code Section 9-304B, 15 days or a fine of $50 thereafter.
All right, I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. I'll find that the violations exist. For 47-2120.13B, 35 days or $50 a day. 47-19.1D, 35 days or $50 a day. 47-34.1.1.A1, 15 days or $50 a day. 9-304B, $15 a day or, 15 days or $50 a day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next case, page 9. Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 25040476, case address 1400 Northeast 4th Avenue, owner 1400 Northeast 4th Avenue LLC, posted at property 52825, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance presenting case CE 25040476, address 1400 Northeast 4th Avenue. This property was first inspected on April 16, 2025, and the following violation was found. 15-28, the business, the Institute for Financial Wellness at this location is operating without a current year business tax receipt. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on June 30th, 2025, and the property remained in violation. At this time, the city is requesting 15 days for compliance or a fine of $100 a day thereafter.
Have you heard from them?
No, but
I want to give them a little more time. I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violation exists. The respondent will be given until August 12th to come into compliance or face fine of $100 a day.
Okay.
Next case, page 10, Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 24080699, case address 445 Northwest 6th Street, owner International Longshoremen Association, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance presenting case CE 24080699, address 445 Northwest 6th Street. This property was first inspected on April 16, 2024, and the following violations were found. 9-280H1 complied. 47-2020H. The parking facilities are not maintained at this property. There are weeds growing through the cracks of the pavement, broken and detached wheel stops, and faded stripes. 9-305A complied. 9-306, the exterior building walls have not been maintained. There are areas of the exterior walls that have stains and missing peeling paint. 18-12A complied. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 7, 2025, and the property remained in violation. At this time, the city is requesting the following. For violation 47-2020H, 35 days for compliance or a fine of $150 a day thereafter. For 9-306, 35 days for compliance or a fine of $150 a day thereafter.
All right, I'm going to find that there's notice, there's posting at the property. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violations exist. I'll find that they do exist. In both cases, the respondent will be given 35 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $150 per day.
Okay.
Next case, bottom of page 10, Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 25030128, case address 409 Northeast 1st Avenue, owner ECI Flagler Village LLC, posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance presenting case CE 25030128, address 409 Northeast 1st Ave. This case was first inspected on March 6, 2025, and the following violations were observed. 9-363 complied. 9-305A complied. However, this is a reoccurring violation, reference case CE 21090546, and at this time the city is requesting a finding of fact.
All right, I'm going to find that there's notice, sworn testimony of the city's, uncontested. I'll find that the violations exist. There'll be a finding of fact that there was a violation of 9-363 and a finding that there was a violation of 9-305A. Okay. Is there anything else you're looking for in that order? No?
No.
Okay.
Next case, page 11, Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 25040725, case address 121 East Broward Boulevard, owner 121 East Broward Boulevard LLC, in care of Shelby Smith, posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance presenting case CE 25040725, address 121 East Broward Boulevard. This case was first inspected on April 27, 2025, and the following violations were observed. 18-12A complied. 9-280H1, the chain link fence at this property is in disrepair and is not being maintained as required. It has openings, missing parts, and areas that are detached from the post. 9-305A, there are tree branches and palm fronds encroaching upon the public right-of-way, obstructing the visibility of traffic and street signs. The no parking anytime sign on 1st Street and the Southeast 1st Ave sign on Broward Boulevard, also hindering pedestrian movement. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 6, 2025, and the property remains in violation. At this time, the city is requesting the following. For 9-280H1, 35 days to comply or a fine of $100 a day thereafter. And for 9-305A, 10 days to comply or a fine of $150 a day thereafter.
Okay, I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. I'm going to find that the violations exist. For violation 9-280H1, it'll be given 35 days to come into compliance, which is August 12th, or face fine of $100 a day. For 9-305A, they'll be given 10 days, which is July 18th, or face a fine of $100 a day.
Okay.
Our next case, Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 25040771, case address 1412 Northwest 3rd Avenue, owner Jerry Scanlon. This case is being rescheduled.
Okay.
Next case, page 12, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 25040646, case address 5311 Northeast 31st Avenue, owner Last Quarter USA LLC, posted at property 63025, posted at 1 East Broward 62425. Inspector Gustavo Caracas presenting.
Good morning, Special Magistrate Gus Caracas for the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance Inspector, presenting case number CE 25040646 for the property located at 5311 Northeast 31st Avenue. Inspection of the property was performed on April 22nd and cited for the following violation. 8-91E. There is a vessel or watercraft moored to the mooring structure more than 30% of the width of the canal or waterway measuring from the recorded property line. The Leopard 50 sailing vessel named Last Quarter with hailing port of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, docked moored to the property extends beyond the 30% allowed width and obstructing the navigable waterway canal area. Courtesy notice was mailed to the property owner listed on BCPA via first class mail April 22nd, allowing 30 days to come into compliance. Contact has been made with the property owner. Officer Shaquan has been in contact with the property owner. Special magistrate request form sent on June 1st and scheduled for today's special master. Pre-hearing inspection was carried out on July 1st, and pictures presented here were taken to confirm the violation has not been brought into compliance. The city is requesting 35 days to come into compliance or a daily fine of $100 for the violation that exists. Photos submitted into record for evidence.
Have you heard from them? Has the inspector heard from them?
Yes.
I mean, what do they say? Are they going to move it, do you think?
Yeah, so the property owner, we spoke to the property owner yesterday. He live in Canada. He's
But he
aware.
knows he's got to move it?
Yeah, he know that he have to move the vessel.
Does he know he has 35 days?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violation exists. I'm going to find that the violation exists. The respondent will be given 35 days, which is August 12th, to come into compliance or face fine of $100 a day. Thanks.
Thank you, Magistrate.
Next case, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 25040886, case address 6843 Northwest 29th Avenue. Owner Carlene C. Gonzalez Brown, posted at property 63025, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Kendrick with the City of Fort Lauderdale presenting case and address as read. This case was first cited on May 1st, 2025. This case was amended on May 18th, 2025 for the following violations. Violation 25-4, complied. Violation 9-304B, the driveway parking area space of the property is not well graded and is in a state of deterioration. There are potholes in the parking area of the property. Violation 18-12A, there is overgrowth, trash, rubbish, and debris on the property or in its swell area. Trash is scattered on the property in the abutting sidewalk property space. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2nd, 2025, and found that violation 9-304B and 18-12A remains as depicted in the photos. The city is requesting 35 days for violation 9-304B and 10 days for violation 18-12A, or $50 a day for each violation thereafter.
I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violations exist. I'll find that the violation exists. For violation 9-304B, there'll be 35 days to come into compliance or face fine of $50 a day. For violation 18-12A, 10 days to come into compliance or a fine of $50 a day. I just have a question. Is that 10 days from the date of the order or 10 days from today?
From today.
Okay. I'm going to get that order signed fairly quickly. Okay. All right, thanks.
Next case, Inspector Paulette Del Grasso, case number CE 25030707, case address 512 Northeast 23rd Avenue. Owner Valsane Investments LLC, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Del Grasso for the city. The case and addressor is read. This matter was first inspected by Officer Caracas on March 24th and cited for the following violation. 9-306, the exterior building walls have not been maintained. There are areas of the exterior that have stain and missing peeling paint. An inspection report was prepared and mailed to the owner of record, and I posted a copy on site on March 26th. A pre-hearing inspection on July 6th revealed the exterior remains in violation. Therefore, the city requests 35 days or $50 a day thereafter.
Okay, I'm going to find that there's notice. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. For the violations, it will be 35 days to come into compliance. And what was the fine amount? $50?
$50 a day thereafter.
$50 a day thereafter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, page 13, Inspector Jessica Martinez, case number CE 25030550, case address 1620 Northwest 2nd Avenue. Owner Hasinga 1620 Land Trust, posted at property 62525, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Martinez with the City of Fort Lauderdale Code Compliance presenting case CE 2503-0550, address 1620 Northwest 2nd Avenue. This case was first inspected on April 2nd, 2025, and the following violations were observed. 47-19-2P complied, 9-304B complied, 9-305B. The landscape at this property is not being maintained in a neat and well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover in the backyard, front yard, and swell area. 9-280C complied, 9-280B complied, 9-280G complied. 18-12A, there is trash, rubbish, and landscape debris on this property consisting of, but not limited to, coconuts, leaves, palm fronds, and other miscellaneous items. 9-306 complied. 9-280H1 complied. A hearing inspection was conducted on July 6, 2025, and the property remained in violation. At this time, the city is requesting the following. For 9-305B, 35 days for compliance or a fine of $50 a day thereafter. And for 18-12A, 10 days for compliance or a fine of $50 a day thereafter.
All right, I'm going to find that there's notice. The sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violation exists. For violation 9-305B, it'll be 35 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day. For violation 18-12A, 10 days to come into compliance or $50 a day.
Okay. Thank you.
Next case, page 14, Inspector Gustavo Caracas, case number CE 2504-0211, case address 106 Southeast 10th Street, owner Robert H. Olson, personal service on 6/30/25, posted at 1 East Broward, 6/24/25.
Good morning, Special Magistrate Gus Caracas for the City of Fort Lauderdale. Presenting case number CE 2504-0211 for the property located at 106 Southeast 10th Street. Inspection of the property was performed on April 8th and cited for the following violations. 9-304B, the gravel driveway is in disrepair. The driveway is missing gravel coverage and there's grass weeds growing through it. 9-308B, there's debris, trash, and other elements which is not permanent on the roof. There are tree branches and other foliage that are not on the roof or are near the roof line and needs to be removed and or pruned. The roof is stained and dirty. This includes but is not limited to the 200 building located on the property. 9-280B, there are building parts which are deteriorated and not maintained, including but not limited to the deteriorated awnings, the missing windows on the 106 building, and the deck is in disrepair. 9-306, the exterior building walls have not been maintained. There are areas of the exterior, including the walls, fascia, and surface that have stained and missing peeling paint. This includes but is not limited to the building located on the property, the 200 building, the 106 building, and the building located at the rear of the property. This case is presented to Special Magistrate as a recurring violation for case CE 23100072, whether or not it comes into compliance before the Special Master hearing. 18-4C has complied. 18-12A. There's overgrowth, trash, rubbish, and debris on the property and on its swell. This case is presented to the Special Magistrate as a recurrent violation for case number CE 23100072, whether or not it comes into compliance before the Special Master hearing. Courtesy notice was mailed to the property owner listed on BCPA via first class mail April 8th, allowing 15 days to come into compliance. Contact has been made with the property owner on a weekly basis. Special Magistrate request form sent on April 23rd and scheduled for today's Special Master. Pre-hearing inspection was carried out on July 3rd, and the pictures presented here were taken to confirm the violations have not been brought into compliance. The city is requesting the following. For 9-304B, 63 days. 9-308B, 63 days. 9-280B, 63 days. 9-306, 63 days. 18-12A, 15 days or a daily fine of $50 for each of the violations that exist, and photos submitted or into record for evidence.
All right, I'm going to find that there's notice. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. For each of the violations except for 1812, it will be 63 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day. That would be 9-304B, 9-308B, 9-280B, 9-306. And for 1812A, it'd be 15 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day.
Thank you, Magistrate.
Thank you.
Next case, page 17, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 2502-0785, case address 1301 Northwest 45th Street, owner Twin Harbors Property Management LLC, posted at property 62325, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Kendrick with the City of Fort Lauderdale presenting case and address as read. This case was first cited on March 3rd, 2025 for the following violations. Violation 47-39.8.1.B.5, parentheses A has complied. Violation 9-280H, parentheses 1 has complied. Violation 9-363, failed to register the residential rental dwelling within the City of Fort Lauderdale free application has not been submitted or is incomplete. Violation 18-1 has complied. Violation 9-305B, the landscaping at this property is not being maintained in a well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover. Violation 9-304B, there is a white RV trailer in a white Ram 4x4 tag RFT M65 parked on the grass lawn area. The driveway at this property is discolored. Driveway is not being maintained in a well-kept appearance. For the record, the Ram was removed from the grass. However, the trailer remains. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2nd, 2025, and found violation 9-306, 9-305B, and 9-304B remains on the property as depicted in the photos. The city is requesting 15 days for violation 9-363, 63 days for violation 9-305B, and 35 days for violation 9-304B, or a daily fine of $100 per day thereafter.
Okay, I'll find that there's notice. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested for violation, and so I'll find that the violations exist. For violation 9-363, it'll be 15 days to come into compliance or a fine of $100 a day. 9-305B, 63 days to come into compliance or a fine of $100 a day. 9-304B, 35 days to come into compliance or a fine of $100 a day. Yes. Did I miss one?
Nope.
Okay.
Next case, page 19, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 2412-0350, case address 5760 Northeast 15th Avenue, owner Hong Tai Lee, posted at property 63025, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Kendrick with the City of Fort Lauderdale presenting case and address as read. This property was first inspected on 12/16/2025 and given time to correct the following violations. Violation 9-304B has complied. Violation 18-12A has complied. Violation 47-34.1.8.1. There's illegal land use occurring at this RS8 zone property. There are tires on the driveway of this property. There are items being stored on the side of this property, included but not limited to landscape items and other miscellaneous items. The tires were removed from the driveway. However, the landscape materials and other miscellaneous items remains on the side of the property. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 6, 2025, and found violation 47-34.1.8.1 remains out of compliance as depicted in the photos. The city is requesting 10 days for violation 47-34.1.1.8 or a daily fine of $50 per day thereafter.
Have you heard from him?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to find that there's notice. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. For violation 47-34.1.A1, I'll give the respondent 10 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day.
Next case, page 20, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 250400909, case address 1720 Northeast 55th Street, owner Nina Krim, posted at property 63025, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Inspector Kendrick with the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case and address as read. This case was first cited on May 20th, 2024 for the following violations. Violation 9-305B, the landscape at this property is not being maintained in a well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover. Violation 18-12A, the pool at this occupied property is has green and stagnant water and is not being maintained on a regular basis. It's in a condition that presents a health and safety issue for the community and that may become a breeding ground for mosquitoes and it's a public nuisance. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2nd, 2025 and found violation 9-305B and violation 18-11A remains as depicted in the photos. The city is requesting 63 days to come into compliance for violation 9-305B or a daily fine of $50 per day thereafter. Violation 18-11A, 10 days to come into compliance or $100 per day thereafter.
Have you heard from him?
Not personally, but she have called the office.
Okay. I'm going to find that there's notice, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violations exist, so I'll find that the violations do exist. For violation 9-305B, the respondent will be given 63 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day. For violation 1811A, he'll be given 10 days to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day.
The 18-11A is $100 per day.
Okay, $100 a day.
Next case, Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 25050005, case address 3363 West Commercial Boulevard, 201A, owner Harwood Global LLC. This case is being rescheduled. Next case, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number...
There's a notice issue.
There was no posting. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Next case, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 25040467, case address 3917 Southwest 13th Court, owner Patricia B. Marshall, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 2504047 at address 3917 Southwest 13th Court. The case was first cited on April 17, 2025 for the following violations. 9-306, the fascia and areas of the exterior wall have black stains and missing peeling paint. 9-308B, the roof is stained with a black substance. Also, there are tarps and debris on the rear half of the roof. 18-12A is complied. 9-280H1, the chain link fence at this property is in disrepair and is not being maintained as required. The gate on the south side of the property is bent. 9-305B, the landscape at this property is not being maintained in a neat and well-kept appearance. The gravel and swale area has grass growing through and areas of missing gravel. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on June 29 and the following violations, June 29, and the following violations remained. 9-306, 9-308B, 9-280H1, and 9-305B. The city is seeking a compliance deadline of 35 days for all violations or a fine of $50 per day per violation to run thereafter.
Okay, I'm going to find that there's notice, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violations exist. I'll find that they do. For each of the violations, the respondent will be given until August 12th to come into compliance or face a fine of $50 a day.
Next case, page 21, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 2503-0709, case address 3820 Southwest 19th Street, owner Plaza Property Holdings, Inc., posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 25030-709 at address 3820 Southwest 19th Street. This case was first cited on March 24, 2025 for the following violations. 9-305B is complied. The landscape at this property is not being maintained in a neat and well-kept appearance. There are areas of dead and missing ground cover on the property and on the swale. This is a recurring violation. Refer to case number CE 23090-267. This case will be presented to the special magistrate seeking a finding of fact whether or not the violation comes into compliance prior to the hearing date. 9-306 is complied. 47-34.1.a.1 is complied. There is illegal land use occurring at this RS-8 zoned property. There's outdoor storage of items, including but not limited to tires, traffic cones, a cage, and other miscellaneous items. This is a recurring violation. Refer to case number CE 23090-267. This case will be presented to the special magistrate seeking a finding of fact whether or not the violation comes into compliance prior to the hearing date. 9-304B is complied. There are vehicles parked on the grass lawn area. This is a recurring violation. Refer to case number CE 23090-267. This case will be presented to the special magistrate seeking a finding of fact whether or not the violation comes into compliance prior to the hearing date. 26-129A4 is complied. All violations were complied as of June 30.
Are you asking for findings of fact on 9-305B, 47-34.1.A1, and 9-304B?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I'm going to find that there's notice. I'm going to find that there are findings of fact for each violation. They're in compliance, but the respondent will be put on notice if they were to occur again. There will be a repeat violation, which means that there's no time given to come into compliance, and the fine can be greater.
Next case, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 25050702, case address 1656 Southwest 28th Avenue, 28th Way, owner United Properties of South Florida, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 25050-702 at address 1656 Southwest 28th Way. The case was first cited on May 27, 2025 for the following violations. 18-4C is complied. 9-304B is complied. There are vehicles, trailers parked on the grass and lawn area. This is a recurring violation. Refer to case number CE 2410171. This case will be presented to the special magistrate seeking a finding of fact whether or not the violation complies prior to the hearing date. All violations were complied as of June 8. The city is seeking a finding of fact for violation 9-304B.
Okay, I'll find that there's notice, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested that the violations exist. I'll make a finding of fact for violation 9-304B, which will put the respondent on notice that there'll be a repeat violation in the future if it were to reoccur.
Next case, page 22, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 25040054, case address 2091 Southwest 36th Terrace, owner A&R Paving Solutions LLC, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 25040054 at address 2091 Southwest 36th Terrace. This case was first cited on April 2, 2025 for the following violations. 9-304B, there's an open trailer parked on the grass lawn area. 47-34.1.A.1, there's illegal land use occurring at this RS-8 zoned property. There's outdoor storage of items, including but not limited to boxes, black garbage bags, filters, piles of wood, and other miscellaneous items. 18-4C is complied. 18-11A, the pool at this occupied property has green stagnant water and is not being maintained on a regular basis. In this condition, it presents a health and safety issue for the community and that it may become a breeding ground for mosquitoes and is a public nuisance. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2, and the following violations remained. 9-304B, 47-34.1.A.1, and 1811A. The city is seeking a compliance deadline of 15 days for all the violations, or a fine of $100 per day per violation to run thereafter.
Have you heard from them?
Yes, there was a previous violation that they had, which they cleaned up from another case, but when they cleaned that up, they left everything still at the property.
Okay, I'm going to find that there's notice, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. For each of the remaining violations, the respondent will be given 15 days to come into compliance or face fine of $100 a day.
Next case, page 23. Inspector Matthew Flesher, case number CE 25030902, case address 1548 Southwest 28th Terrace, owner BAF Assets LLC, posted at property 62425, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
This is Matthew Flesher for the City of Fort Lauderdale, presenting case CE 2503902 at address 1548 Southwest 28th Terrace. This case was first cited on March 31, 2025 for the following violations. 9-306 is complied. 18-1, there is carport storage at this property of items including, but not limited to, a hammock, coolers, boxes, plastic totes, yellow oil or gas containers, and other miscellaneous items that are creating a public nuisance. It is being maintained in such a manner that the property is or may adversely affect and impair the economic welfare of adjacent properties. A pre-hearing inspection was conducted on July 2, and 18-1 remained. The city is seeking a compliance deadline of 15 days or a fine of $100 per day to run thereafter.
Have you heard from him?
No. Whenever I knock on the door, nobody answers and nobody's contacted me.
Okay, I'm going to find that there's notice, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested, the violation exists. The respondent will be given 15 days to come into compliance. What was the fine amount?
$100 per day.
$100 a day. That's for 18-1.
Next case, page 26, Inspector Wanda Aquavella, case number CE 25060058, case address 1101 North Victoria Park Road, own Erica Gomez and Eduardo Mulum, posted at property 62625, posted at 1 East Broward 62425.
Wanda Aquavella for the city. Case and address is read. This property was initially inspected on June 3rd, 2025, and the following violation was observed. 15-282, parentheses D, parentheses 1, parentheses B. There is a qualifying number of violations at this vacation rental property to request a certificate suspension of 365 days before the special magistrate. The qualifying violation cases are case CE 25030672 had 2 violations. 15-278-8, parentheses 1E, parking violation, and 15-275, parentheses 5, responsible party failed to respond. Case CE 2504-0130 had 2 violations. 15-278, parentheses 1E, parking violation, and 15-275, parentheses 5, responsible party failed to respond. All of these violations were found to exist by the magistrate at the 5/13/25 special magistrate hearing. The city is requesting the full 365-day suspension of the vacation rental certificate.
Have you heard from them?
About this case, no, sir.
Okay.
Well, we did receive an email saying that they didn't agree with this.
Okay, and we have posting for notice. All
Yes, sir.
right. I think you just testified that all of the qualifying violations were heard at one hearing. Is that what I heard?
They were heard at one hearing, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, the findings have been made. Those orders exist. The ordinance says if 4 qualifying violations exist, that there is a suspension of the right to of the vacation rental certificate. So I will suspend the vacation rental certificate for a period of 365 days.
And importantly, and really briefly, Honor, just for the record, since those cases were heard, we typically always wait the additional 30 days in the event that the property owner chooses to appeal those violations, and that appeal time has expired.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Were they present at that hearing? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I can check if you would like.
No. It's okay.
Supervisor Brown, and then we need a start date for the suspension. And I would request to give them 10 days just in case, there's anybody in there or anything like that. So that would be to begin the suspension July 18th, if you agree.
Now, I want to give them a little bit more time with that, so
Okay.
if they get it and they want to file something, some court proceeding or something, I want to give them, 25 days. That way the order can get out and they can have it and they can... Okay?
Okay. Our next case, page 29. Inspector Eric Weiland, case number CE 2506-0005, case address 2518 Well Harbor Lane, owner Oz Aaron. This case was first cited at 6125 to comply by 6125. One section complied at $250 for a total of $250. Appeal deadline was 6/16/25, and no appeal was received. And this is a citation.
Yes.
There's no presentation for
Okay,
that one.
okay. All right, so basically what this is you want to impose a fine amount. The only two things I think I would need to do is to find out whether there's notice under Massey versus Charlotte County, which there appears to be. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. I'll impose the fine.
Next case, Inspector Pat Gavin, case number CE 2501-0818, case address 1362 Bayview Drive, owner Ferdinand Cabrera. This case was first heard for 8/25 to comply by 4/18/25. One section not complied at $250 per day, $20,250 accrued. The city is requesting the full amount and the fines continue to accrue.
All right, I'm going to find that there's notice in accordance with Massey versus Charlotte County. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. The violations haven't been complied with. I'll impose the fine.
Next case, Inspector Edward Eason, case number CE 24100263, case address 1517 Southwest 5th Street, owner Daniel M. Ray. This case was first heard 3/27/25 to comply by 4/11/25 and 5/29/25. Three sections not complied at $50 per day for a total of $8,400. One section complied at $50 per day for a total of $900. Grand total $9,300. The city is requesting the full amount and the fines continue to accrue.
All right, I'll find that there's notice in accordance with Massey versus Charlotte County. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. That the violation hasn't been complied with. I'll certify the fine.
Next case, page 31, Inspector Leonard Champagne, case number CE 2502-0080, case address 1601 Northeast 63rd Street, owner Jeffrey W. Catroti and Juliana Cavala. This case was first heard for 8/25 to comply by 4/23/25. One section not complied at $250 per day, $2,750 accrued. The city is requesting the full amount and the fines continue to accrue.
Okay, and there's notice for these, right? How is notice given for these?
Yes.
Okay. Regular mail? Okay, I'll find that there's notice in accordance with Massey versus Charlotte County. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. The order has been complied with. I'll certify it.
Next case, Inspector Leonard Champagne, case number CE 2502-0229. Case address 1508 Poinciana Drive, owner Rafael De Leon. This case was first heard 4/24/25 to comply by 5/9/25. One section not complied at $250 per day for a total of $2,000. The city is requesting the full amount and the fines continue to accrue.
All right, I'll find that there's notice. Sworn testimony of the city is uncontested. The order has been complied with. I'll certify it.
Next case, Inspector Wanda Aquavella, case number CE 2502-0179, case address 1245 Northeast 17th Way, owner MBiz Group 1245 LLC, Matthew Morrison. This case was first heard for 8/25 to comply by 5/13/25. One section complied at $250 for a total of $7,500. The city is requesting the full amount.
I'll find that there's notice.
Wait, I think she wants to
Your
present
Honor,
this one.
I want to speak
She
on
has
this
to
one.
make an adjustment.
The case and address is read. This case was first heard on 4/8/25. The magistrate ruled in favor of the city, and the property owner was ordered to correct the violation by 5/13/25. At this time, the violation is in compliance. The property was inspected one time while it was out of violation on 5/14/25. The city is requesting the amount of the fines to be imposed of $250.
When was it complied?
It was complied. It was told. It was complied by 5. It was to be complied by 5/13/25. It was inspected on 5/14, and then it was complied after that.
On 5/14, it was not in
It
compliance?
was not in compliance on 5/14.
All right, I'll find that there's notice and I'll post the fine.
Next case, page 32, Inspector Wanda Aquavella, case number CE 25050657, case address 739 Northwest 18th Street, owner Imni Borinsky. This case was first cited 5/28/25 to comply by 5/28/25. One section complied at $250 for a total of $250. Appeal deadline was 6/12/25 and no appeal was received. This is a citation.
Okay, I'll find that there was no appeal, so the citation is assumed to be valid. I'm not quite sure that's the right way to say it, but anyway, I'll find that the citation exists and post the fine at $250.
Next case, page 33, Inspector Gail Williams, case number CE 25010254, case address 1045 Northwest 5th Avenue, owner Eveline DeJargensen. This case was first heard 4/8/25 to comply by 5/13/25. One section complied at $100 per day for a total of $2,300. One section not complied at $100 per day for a total of $5,600. Grand total $7,900. The city is requesting the full amount and the fines continue to accrue.
All right, I'll find that there's notice, sworn testimony of the city is uncontested, the order has been complied with and I'll certify it.
Next case, Inspector Matthew Flesher, case 3371 Southwest 23rd Street, owner David Malone. This case was first heard 2/11/25 to comply by 3/27/25 to 6/26 at $50 per day for a total of $5,600. This 4/25 to comply by 5/4/25 and 5/29/25. One section not requesting the full amount and the fines continue to
Has been complied with as certified.
$518. $15.25, two sections grand is 2180 Northeast. This case was first heard 2/11/25 to comply by 2/11/25. Three sections not complied at $50 per day for a total of $1,200 continue to accrue and to reimpose.
Ready to read the reading?
Yes.
Inspect.
What
Okay.
you're looking to do is to vacate a prior order and then you want me to reimpose
Okay.
it. So what
Yes.
happened is...
So we would like that to be fined $50 per day.
Why vacating a prior order?
Because for violation 9-304
(9-304B) and 9-308B.
Yes.
There's prior orders here, and your testimony is that they haven't been. We'll certify the fines. Reimpose the fines. has been complied with, and I'll certify it.
Could come 304 be permanent on the
Bear with me. In 9-308B, you want those to be certified. Crew, the fine
Yes.
amount.
Yes. Yes.
Each time that, I'm just curious, do you have to saw it? How does that work?
Yes, we have to come back and test.
Continuing ones, and you want those to certify 18-12A, but you'll come back in the future.
Thank you.
Next case, page 37. Inspector Shaquan Kendrick, case number CE 3rd Avenue, owner Donna and Edward Palvig. This case was first heard 4/8/25 to comply by 4/18/25, 5/13/25. Comply to $50 per day for a total of $15,100. The city is requesting the full amount and the
As to the order has been complied with, has certified the fines.
and exit closed, withdrawn, and rescheduled.
Comply.
And
everybody's help. Thank you.
So today's a very special day. Today is Aiden's birthday. Today my son will be 20.